Thank you to Angus and to Chloe. Welcome to Selhurst Park on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. As Angus was outlining there, a feast of Premier League football to look forward to. And here in South London, we have an intriguing matchup between two sides that are in big need for a victory. The home side, Crystal Palace, the turbulent few weeks they've had, the departure of Mark Gahey, the spectacular comments from manager Oliver Glasner in the wake of that defeat at Sunderland, that he's gone some way to explain away this week, but still will be interesting to see the reception he gets when he emerges from the corner of Selhurst Park in a few moments' time. And Chelsea under Liam Rosenior, his first Premier League away game in charge of Chelsea. He's had a winning start, more or less, to his Chelsea career. Victory over Charlton in the FA Cup, a Premier League win against Brentford, a Champions League win over Paphos, but not overly convincing, and only 2 wins in Chelsea's last 10 Premier League matches. There will be focus on Liam Rosenior to turn that around very quickly. The two sides emerge on what has been a dank afternoon in South London. The sun has done its best every now and again to peek through, but it's grey overhead, fairly mild, certainly not as chilly as it has been in the last couple of weeks. And Chelsea being led out by Reece James, and Crystal Palace now led out by Dean Henderson. The captain, Mark Gahey, no more. He of now Manchester City. So Dean Henderson leading out Crystal Palace. I glanced down, and as always, Mark Schwarzer, Premier League goalkeeper, former Premier League goalkeeper, alongside. As always, when you look down, you see about 50 people wandering out the tunnel, so it might be quite difficult to spot Oliver Glasner. I can see Liam Rosenior very smartly dressed in a long black coat. We wait for Oliver Glasner's reception when he emerges.
Yes, he looks like he's delaying his return onto the side of the pitch, making an entrance, so to speak. Let's wait and see what happens. But look, I think overall, I think the fans will still very much be behind him. Look, the guy's an absolute legend already at this club. The short period of time he's been here, winning the FA Cup, Community Shield was tremendous, unbelievable for Crystal Palace in their history, and I don't think the fans forget that. Here he comes now.
Well, here he is, and he is getting a good reception. He's waving to the fans in the main stand. Those of you who know your Crystal Palace geography, your Selhurst Park geography, he walks right the way down the main stand. He turns to the Holmesdale end and gives them a clap, and I think the feeling is mutual. There is great respect between manager or head coach and fan and head coach, and certainly there's no animosity in the air, Mark, which I think is probably what we expected.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't expect any, definitely. And I think also what was important, that yesterday he came out and held his hand up and said, look, I probably shouldn't have said what I did. It was the wrong timing, it was emotional, and but you know, he only wants the best for the club, for his players and the fans, and I think that certainly went a long way to creating a more happier environment, so to speak.
The two head coaches warmly embrace just between the two technical areas. So many photographers with their lenses trained. More on Glasner, you'd suspect, than more on Glasner than Rosenior. But the two head coaches share some nice words and break away, as do the players from the handshake. So an opportune moment to run you through the two 11s. And for Crystal Palace, it's looking a much stronger Crystal Palace side, with the return of Daniel Munoz, who's been out since early December with injury, so he returns at right wing back, and Ismaila Sarr, what a couple of weeks he's had over at AFCON, winning with Senegal. He's back in the starting 11, and Jean-Philippe Mateta, despite handing in that transfer request, does lead the line for Crystal Palace. Dean Henderson, the new captain, in goal. Chris Richards making Crystal Palace appearance number 100. Maxime Lacroix and JD Canvo, the back three. Daniel Munoz and Tyreek Mitchell are the two wing-backs. Adam Wharton, Jefferson Lerma in midfield. And then further forward, Brennan Johnson, Ismaila Sarr and Jean-Philippe Mateta. For Chelsea, there is no Cole Palmer, nursing a slight thigh injury, so not risked today. Chelsea have a big Champions League trip to Napoli, the final games in the Champions League phase, and there is still work to do for Chelsea, so not risked today. Estevao starts in place of him, and Andre Santos gets a start in midfield. So Robert Sanchez, the goalkeeper, his 200th Senior League appearance. Reece James, Trevor Chalobah, Benoit Badiashile, Marc Cucurella, the back four. Andre Santos, Moses Caicedo in the middle, with Estevao, Enzo Fernandez, Pedro Neto behind João Pedro. Selhurst Park is atmospheric as always. Watery sunshine creeps out. We can just about make out the weak shadows of the players. Chelsea will be getting us underway, and they are in their change strip this afternoon. The off-white from head to toe, the cream shirts, shorts, and the green socks, the dark green socks. Crystal Palace in their traditional home colours, the red and blue horizontal stripes, blue shorts, blue and red socks. Robert Sanchez has early possession for Chelsea. They are going from left to right as we watch from the main stand. Sanchez all in green with the first long ball forward. Palace going from right to left, the Holmesdale end at their back. And Mark, what sort of encounter are you anticipating? A fairly drab 0-0 draw on the opening day of the Premier League season, or the opening weekend of the Premier League season. That was cagey. What do you think today will be?
Well, I mean, obviously, Crystal Palace are struggling for form. They haven't had, a win in 7 games. They need goals, that's for sure. Mateta's up front. He's hopefully going to get goals for Crystal Palace. And for Chelsea, it's about getting back to winning ways on the road.
Estevao, early chance for Chelsea. Fernandez just inside the penalty area, clips the ball in the area of the back post, and Cucurella wasn't too far from that, and it took a nick on its way through, so Chelsea have a very early corner in the first minute of the game.
Yeah, it's good positional play from Chelsea. Nice need a better delivery into the box. I think Fernandez has just hit that too well, and he smashed it across the face of the goal. I'm not quite sure, it did take a deflection. Crystal Palace fans weren't happy about that. The referee has judged it to be a corner.
Chelsea have a good scoring record from corners this season, the third most in the Premier League, and they have a first opportunity to worry Dean Henderson, although Reece James' corner is not particularly well hit in towards that front post area where Chalobah was waiting. But referee, who is Darren England today, he also in charge of that first game at Stamford Bridge way back in August, spots a foul, and Crystal Palace have this free kick, or maybe it drifted out for a goal kick.
That was a free kick. It was Cucurella at the near post area. He makes a run towards the ball. As the ball's been whipped in, he's just a clear shove in the back of a Crystal Palace defender. That's why the referee's given that free kick.
Mateta battling with Badiashile, and the ball all the way back to Sanchez, and he can move Chelsea forward with Andre Santos in the midfield. A busy Premier League day of football with 2 other games kicking off at 2 o'clock over on 5 Live. Newcastle against Aston Villa, and on Sports Extra 2, available via the BBC Sounds app. A big game at the bottom end of the table for Forest, who are under a little bit of pressure following West Ham's very convincing win over Sunderland yesterday. So Brentford, Nottingham Forest over on Sports Extra 2, and later an always tantalising Premier League matchup between Arsenal and Manchester United at the Emirates, and that kicks off at 4:30 over on BBC Radio 5 Live. Palace enjoying relatively comfortable possession just outside of their own penalty area. 2 and a bit minutes played on 5 Sports Extra. Henderson, the new Palace captain, in a garish bright orange goalkeeping kit. Wharton on the edge of his own penalty area. Through the middle third, Mateta is fouled by Badiashile, and Crystal Palace have this free kick on the halfway line.
Yeah, that's why Mateta is so important in this Crystal Palace side. He's so strong, gets a ball, a straight ball, not one that you'd normally want to play up to your striker, but when you've got someone like Mateta there, he's so strong, can hold Badiashile in a position there, won't allow him to get around him, and he actually wins the foul in the end, does really well. Really good number 9, old school kind of link-up play.
Yeah, Mateta's future very much up in the air, contracted for another season at Crystal Palace, so his contract doesn't expire until next summer. But there are clubs interested in his signature, not surprisingly, but he's in the starting lineup for Palace today. He's not getting a free kick as he was bundled over by Chalobah, and Sanchez has it all the way inside his own penalty area, and he will clear downfield. And for Palace, needless to say, Mark, more for Oliver Glasner's sanity. You think, having lost Mark Gahey recently, having lost Eze in the summer and Elise before him, if he were to lose Jean-Philippe Mateta and not be replaced, then you do wonder where this Palace season goes from here on in.
Yeah, look, I think if Mateta were to go, they have to replace him. There's no way in the world they can go without replacing him. They need goals up front. If he leaves, he's the one that they've always looked to. He's such an integral part of the way that Crystal Palace play. We just saw there a moment ago him and Trevor Chalobah this occasion coming up against each other. On that occasion, I think Mateta should have stayed on his feet. He had the ability to stay up, but his link-up play is integral.
Andre Santos on the halfway line, tries to spin away from Tyreek Mitchell, and wins a throw for Chelsea midway through the Crystal Palace half. Liam Rosenior comes charging out of his technical area to have a word with his captain, Reece James, on the halfway line. The two head coaches very close to one another, with the fourth official right in between them. Not a great deal of space down there, so they'll be able to hear each other's instructions very clearly. That's a wasteful ball forward in the direction of Estevao on this near side, the right, and Henderson has it straight back for Crystal Palace. 0-0, 5 minutes played, waiting really for the first opportunity of the game. Both sides relatively happy for one another to have it in their back line, although the Chelsea press is noticeably high, and Wharton was a little bit loose there. Pedro Neto just nipped in but couldn't do anything with it, and now the first opportunity for Daniel Munoz to scamper on that far side, the right. Finds Mateta on the edge of the penalty area. He's closed down quickly, and a little bit too quickly for Mateta to be able to do anything with that. But the first opportunity mark of Daniel Munoz scampering down that right, and Palace will be mightily pleased to have him back.
Yeah, they will be, and they'll be a little bit disappointed. More didn't come of that attack there. It was all comes from Pedro Neto. They win the ball, Chelsea, really high up in Palace's half. They do really, really well. But his first touch is terrible, and it goes straight to Crystal Palace player. That ball gets played up to Mateta, and Mateta then turns and plays Munoz in, and that's where the counter-attack football comes into play. So Chelsea have to be a little bit careful in that regard, and Palace will be disappointed they didn't do better on that opportunity.
So many of Crystal Palace's goals over the years have come via the wing-backs. Daniel Munoz is an excellent exponent of that position. He's watching Chelsea build at the moment through midfield. Foul by Lerma on Andre Santos, just to the left of the centre circle. No Cole Palmer for Chelsea, Mark, and you can understand Chelsea being a little bit cautious with him given his recent injury problems, and they do have that big Champions League game against Napoli in the week.
Yeah, they do, and yeah, you're right. I mean, he's a quality player, isn't he? I mean, he's a player that he's so difficult to predict, so difficult to play against. There's a lot of unknown there. But you know, he's got the creativity that Chelsea really do crave and have missed since he's been out of the side.
Chalobah square to Badiashile to Chalobah rather, and now James on this near side, the right. The gloved Estevao on what is a fairly mild, certainly for how it's been recently, afternoon, but Estevao is fully layered up with the cream base layer to match his cream top. The gloves on as well. Here is Badiashile, closed down by Sarr, and he's given it away. Mateta has a chance here. Mateta! Sanchez saves with his feet, and that goes down as an excellent chance for Jean-Philippe Mateta. Badiashile a little careless. Sarr to Mateta. He was through on goal, and not much conviction with the right foot finish. Sanchez makes the save.
Yeah, it's a good save in the end from Sanchez. I think he's very, very fortunate. He's going the wrong way, Sanchez, but he just reacts. Badiashile, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, the ball to him, in fairness, isn't a good ball. But he's got to identify that straight away. Got to clear the danger. Instead, he tries to take on two players. Mateta's the first one there, and he wins the ball off him. And Mateta, his quality, that should be 1-0. Chelsea are very, very lucky.
Yep, that goes down as a very big chance for Jean-Philippe Mateta, Crystal Palace's top scorer, 10 goals this season. He had plenty of time inside the penalty area, did everything right, took a couple of touches to steady himself, didn't quite find the corner with his finish.
I think he went from, he was caught in between placing and power.
Yeah.
And he did neither. And in the end, that allowed Sanchez, even though Sanchez was caught wrong-footed, just to throw out his right foot.
The ball was eventually cleared and out for a Palace long throw, which is hurled in and cleared successfully by Chelsea, but still Palace on the attack, far side the right. That breaks down. Daniel Munoz couldn't keep that in play, and Chelsea have a throw in their left back position. Referee Darren England has a finger to his ear, which normally means he's in discussion with those in Stockley Park, but there was certainly nothing wrong with the throw. I think there was a question mark maybe at the front post there with a push on a Crystal Palace player, but not much in that.
On Jefferson Lerma, he's making a run sort of towards the long throw, and he does go to ground. I mean, initially it looks like he went to ground quite easily, and I think the replays have confirmed that.
Matt Donoghue is our VAR in Stockley Park. Palace on the move again. Another direct ball in the direction of Mateta. Chelsea see that off and maybe will be able to build a counter-attack of their own. James down a gap for João Pedro, who gets there in front of Lacroix, who wins the ball. And in the process, João Pedro is felled. He now complains to the assistant referee, who makes the ball gesture to say that was a perfectly fair challenge. João Pedro wasn't so sure.
I think it's a really good challenge. I think McQuad does so well. It times it perfectly. It's in a good area as well because he's outside the box. He's heading towards the corner flag. And okay, the question is, do you dive in? Do you make? He didn't dive in. He just timed it perfectly, and it was a perfect challenge. So therefore, I think the linesman was absolutely spot on. I'm not sure why João Pedro was making a big deal of it. I think it was, for me, a clear challenge.
Yeah, and the assistant referee had the perfect view of it, right in line and not too far in front of him. And you very rarely actually see assistant referees gesticulate and say things like he got the ball, but he did on this occasion. Chelsea, though, building on the far side there left, and it's with Pedro Neto very close to the corner flag on that far side, and he wins Chelsea's second corner of the afternoon, poking it against Richards, and Chelsea have another chance to throw the big players forward.
Yeah, he does well because he's running into the corner, Neto, and he's running out of space. He's got two Palace players around him, so instead of trying to do something silly or trying to take him on and get around, he plays for the corner and wins it.
And Reece James' first corner wasn't overly successful, the referee giving that free kick. He's got another chance here with 10 minutes played. 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. Palace 0, Chelsea 0. James, one hand in the air. It's that dinky one to the front post again that is headed behind by Mateta, doing some good defending at the front post, so Chelsea can reload. Yeah, good ball, really good ball. That flight, the pace on it, not too high, very difficult for the goalkeeper to come out to that area because there's so many bodies in front of him. Henderson surrounded by players from both sides. James again with that technique. Cucurella's at the front post. It's another corner. It's another one headed away by Sarr on this occasion, so Chelsea building some pressure courtesy of these corners. Again, another really good delivery. It just, Cucurella gets up there before Sarr, just misses it. If he gets that flick on, anything can happen because it's quite close and there's a lot of players in the 6-yard box. 3 very similar corners. What about the fourth? It looks like it'll be the same based on how many players are at the front post, and it is, but this one doesn't have the same distance, and Munoz gets something on that. Mitchell completes the clearance to temporary safety. Fernandes, first time, ball into the back post, swirling in the Palace air. Cleared as far as the edge of the penalty area. Cucurella then lifts a very similar ball into the box that has plenty of height on it. We lose sight of it as it disappears over the roof. It's there to be won for Chelsea inside the Palace penalty area, and Palace smuggle it away to that left-hand side. Space for Cucurella on the edge of the penalty area. His left-footed ball in. Mitchell under no pressure heads away. Caicedo picks this up on the right of the box. Chelsea building nicely. Estevao to Caicedo, who just has to come out of the penalty area to ensure Chelsea still have possession. And now the momentum of the attack has just faded, with Palace forcing Chelsea all the way back. But Estevao has it back on the penalty area, the angle of the box. And now with Chalobah and James. Will the cross come in? It does. Towards the back post, Cucurella goes down under no real pressure and no appeals for a penalty. Munoz battling with Neto, and now Cucurella on the left-hand side of the box. He dinks it across. João Pedro meets it. Fernandes hits it, strikes it over the bar. And that is a half-decent chance for Enzo Fernandez. Had to think quickly. The ball was on the rise. His volley, though, in the end, way over the bar. Yeah, it's a really good phase of play, I have to say, from both sides, actually. I think Palace defended really well. This last moment there, the ball in the box, Cucurella from the left-hand side. As the ball gets whipped in, João Pedro, he's the one, he misses it. I think he loses a slight side of the ball. Lacroix tries to clear it in that near post area, misses it, and it just hits against João Pedro, his legs, and then it pops down and it falls to Enzo Fernandez, who's probably about 9 yards out, 10 yards out, and he just goes for power and smashes it over the crossbar. Not by a long way, but should have done a lot better in that sort of area. He has been very proficient at that sort of finish, Enzo Fernandez. 8 goals he's got. He's got a very nice habit of arriving on the scene just in time, a quality that, of course, the great Chelsea legend Frank Lampard used to possess. And contributing those goals from midfield, so important. I think the pace of the game is really good. I think in that occasion there, Chelsea had the ball possession. They were going from one side to the other. The movement, the cycling of the ball was really good. Palace were up. They were also very well organised. They were quick to try and close down. That created that really good moment of play where it went from both sides to the pitch back and forth, and that chance came for Chelsea in the end. There is a good feel to the game at Selhurst Park that is 14 minutes old, goalless. Palace and Chelsea And it is with Chelsea building slowly from their back. Caicedo gets a touch in the midfield. Chalobah with a white wristband on. Fernandes, who had that chance a couple of moments ago. James, nice little pirouette and spin to get away from 2 Palace players. Estevao is then bundled over by Mitchell. No free kick there. And Chelsea can move their way out of a crowded position on the pitch on this near side, the right, and now spread it to that far side. That's a heavy back pass from Munoz to Henderson, but he controls it well enough, clears downfield, and Badiashile will watch this out of play.
Yeah, it was a decent ball in behind. It was in between sort of Munoz and his 18-yard box, so inside his shoulder, but Munoz has got a lot of pace. He had to because Neto was behind him, and he defends it really well. And that's that slightly overhit pass to Henderson, but Henderson deals with it really comfortably.
Over on Sports Extra 2, Nottingham Forest have taken the lead away at Brentford, not a million miles away from here. Over in West London, Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Igor Jesus has scored there. 0-0 between Newcastle and Villa on 5 Live, and 0-0 here on 5 Sports Extra between Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Neto to Cucurella, who goes all the way back inside his penalty area. The 2 Chelsea centre-halves now combined. Chalobah and Badiashile. James with the Cruyff turn away from Brennan Johnson. Haven't said his name too much. In fact, that's probably the first time we've mentioned Brennan Johnson. Hasn't got himself in the game so far, the former Nottingham Forest and Tottenham winger. Estevao looking to trouble Mitchell from his right wing position. That's a nice ball across the penalty area. Neto dinks it into the box. There are 2 Palace players converging on the same ball. It drops to Caicedo, who is another that is in the goals this season, and his right foot shot from the edge of the box, not too far away.
Yeah, good play again from Chelsea. Nice pace. Delivering the box probably wasn't the best. I think Neto really looked up, because there was not a single Chelsea player in the vicinity of that ball into the box. It just falls at the edge as Palace try to clear it. It's Caicedo who just runs onto it and smashes it. The height was right. He just can't control the line of it and misses the goal by about good, 6-7 feet.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly close in the end. Crystal Palace unhappy with Benoit Badiashile here, and then not too happy with Enzo Fernandez, both for delaying the game. Free kick was given to Palace inside their own half, and then Badiashile made sure that Palace couldn't take it quickly and kicked the ball away, and then Enzo Fernandez gave it a good old tonk as well, but both are going to escape a yellow card here.
Yeah, see, that's where the referee lets himself down, because Badiashile picks the ball up and runs about 7-8 metres with the ball. The referee should just put an end to it. Pull out a card, stop it straight away. That is clear and obvious time wasting.
Yeah, slightly surprised, given that sort of infringement has resulted in a yellow card, that wasn't given as one. We play on. Munoz, good ball into the penalty area. Johnson attacked it, but so did Andre Santos for Chelsea, and a good job he got there to turn it away from Johnson, who was ready to pounce to tap in for 1-0 Palace. Fine ball in for Munoz. That's an excellent piece of defending. Yeah, brilliant from all parties there, I tell you. Munoz's ball is exceptional, so difficult to defend against. Brennan Johnson's just about to let loose with a strike on goal, and it was Santos there, last ditch diving effort, really well defended. And it results in Crystal Palace's first corner of the game, which will be taken in front of the White Horse Lane end. Away to our left as Palace go from right to left. Brennan Johnson over this corner. Plenty of players inside the Chelsea penalty area. Johnson's corner to the back post. Lerma attacks it, got there. Did he get enough on it to force the corner? He didn't. He felt it should have been a corner, challenging as he was with João Pedro, but the referee instead points for a goal kick, and it remains 0-0. Yeah, good defending. João Pedro really good at that far post area there, because he watches it all the way, goes up for the challenge. He's the one that puts Lerma off, and I'll tell you what, the referee's got that absolutely spot on. It comes off initially off João Pedro onto Lerma, and Lerma's off his head and out over the crossbar. Yeah, spot on, Mark. That was absolutely the right decision from Darren England and his assistant on that far side. A clear goal kick with the double ricochet. Lerma closed down in the centre circle. He was surrounded by 4 cream-shirted players. Enzo Fernandez trying to plot a way forward for João Pedro. That avenue is blocked, and Palace have it in their back line with Maxime Lacroix. It's got really good energy, this game, hasn't it? First, nearly 20 minutes, the game's playing a decent tempo. Both sides not afraid to try and get in behind, play the ball quickly across from one side of the pitch to the other. They want to try and move the opposition out of position, and it's worked for both sides on a couple of occasions, created half chances, or some pretty decent chances actually. Indeed, the Mateta chance for Palace and the Enzo Fernandez opportunity for Chelsea, but still 0-0. No longer 0-0 at St James's Park, where Aston Villa have taken the lead. That's over on 5 Live. Chelsea coming forward. Neto stopped by an excellently timed Adam Wharton slide challenge. He was outside the penalty area, so wouldn't have been at risk of conceding a penalty, but even so, it was a good challenge. And now Wharton is caught by Caicedo. Referee gives Caicedo a yellow card, which is what the Palace fans were paying for, and their wish has been granted. Caicedo into the book for a late challenge on Wharton.
That is just such a typical Moise Caicedo challenge. It is often that sort of outstretched leg, you know, that almost like, it's not stomping, he's trying to make a block, and he's sort of reaching and then comes down on a player, and he's done that this time on Wharton. Look, there's no malice in it, it's just that timing, and if you get it wrong, it can look bad. This one was okay, but he's got to be careful, because he's been sent off a few times by these kind of late challenges that turn out to be quite bad challenges.
It has been a problem for Chelsea this season, the number of red cards. They've got 5 already in the Premier League. And they have the ball again to Chelsea on the halfway line. The recently booked Caicedo, short pass to Fernandez. They work it nicely, Chelsea, with a little triangle. James down the line, Fernandez under immediate pressure. Richards was very quickly out of his centre-back home to meet him, and such is the effectiveness of Palace's press. Chelsea are all the way back in their own penalty area with Sanchez. Andre Santos with a couple of loose touches. He did well to get out of that particular situation. João Pedro to Cucurella, who didn't really look as he played that big switch, looking for Estevao. Straight to Mitchell, who gets it back from Richards, and now Crystal Palace can start thinking of an attack themselves, albeit James very quickly to close down the space there. And just like Chelsea did a couple of moments ago, Palace are forced all the way back to their goalkeeper, Dean Henderson. So Palace 0, Chelsea 0, Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 1 on Sports Extra 2, and on 5 Live, Newcastle 0, Aston Villa 1, Emi Buendia with the goal at St James's Park. And at 4:30, doesn't matter where both sides are in the table, doesn't really matter what's gone on before, it will always be one of those Premier League games that whets the appetite. Arsenal against Manchester United, 5 Live at 4:30. Palace with the ball in their back line. Richards to Lerma, and that's a loose pass from Lerma, straight out of play. Chelsea throw midway inside the Crystal Palace half. The two head coaches still on the edge of their own technical areas. Oliver Glasner retreats and sits down, chunters to his assistants. Liam Rosenior, arms folded, a little swig of a water bottle that he places on the corner of his technical area, and he's watching his Chelsea side with the ball in their back line. Badiashile, short pass to the gloved Cucurella, hair bouncing, square pass to green-booted Chalobah, and now James again playing at right back today. We know he can operate across the midfield. Estevao closed down by Johnson and Mitchell, and then James with the errant pass forward. Out of play it goes, and after some promising signs and some decent tempo and counter-attacks, last 5 or 6 minutes have been a little tighter, especially in that midfield area. Yeah,
it has been. There's been a couple of little unforced errors, I suppose, and I think that's that little bit. The tempo's dropped a little bit, but not. You know, that can change very, very quickly. But both sides certainly have the intent to get forward.
Wharton, one of his fine crossfield passes, although this one wasn't hit with the required pace, and it was cut out by Cucurella before Munoz could cause some damage. Wharton has it back, and now the orange-booted Munoz can set off down that far side, the right. Exchanges passes with Sarr. Back in field it goes. JD Canvo, blue base layer, plenty of space to slowly wander into, closed down by Neto, releases it quickly to Munoz, and now Sarr, 2 or 3 yards from the corner flag, far side the right, as Palace go from right to left. Wharton on the ball once again. Now Sarr level with the edge of the penalty area. Palace are not really progressing this attack beyond that area of the pitch. Wharton's little clip looks too long for Mitchell. Indeed it is. He claps his hands in frustration, does the young English midfielder. He hit that with too much pace, and out of play it goes for a Chelsea goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, it was the right idea though. I tell you what, it was a really good idea to get that ball over the top there. Reece James had to be kept on his toes because Tariq Mitchell was making a late run in behind him, that far post area. If Wharton's delivery is a little bit better, that could cause Chelsea some problems.
We see shots on our monitor just in front of us of firstly Steve Parish And then Oliver Glasner, we do wonder what the tone of the conversation was like when they met for their lunch. Seemingly friends again after Oliver Glasner's outburst. Pedro Neto runs out of road, and he ran out of road primarily because Maxime Lacroix came across to make sure that Neto did not get there before the touchline, and indeed he didn't, and it's out of play for a Palace goal kick.
Yeah, Lacroix does really, really well, because initially when Neto's making that run, he starts to knock the ball past Lacroix. You just felt that Neto was going to take off from him, but Lacroix just put his foot down, and all of a sudden he put his foot down, stepped across in front of Neto, and Neto just didn't have the strength or the ability or even the pace to get around him.
He is one of those centre-backs that is deceptively quick, isn't he? Because he's a big player, and you don't necessarily expect him to have the acceleration that he has, but he used it to great effect there. Enzo Fernandez for Chelsea plays it against Brennan Johnson and wins the throw for his side. Liam Rosenior turns away and has a little chunter in the direction of Tony Harrington, who is today's fourth official. Oliver Glasner with his white trainers pointing and gesticulating. There were many, I think, Mark, that suspected that Oliver Glasner's time might be up before, indeed it will be up in the summer. He's already confirmed he's leaving at the end of his contract, but given his outburst after Sunderland, where he said he felt abandoned after the departure of Mark Gahey, and we know what's happened with Enzo Maresca and Ruben Amorim. However, it seems for now that relationship has not soured a great deal.
No, it hasn't. It seems like it hasn't anyway. And look, it kind of, because he's still on a job, right? Any other manager, generally speaking, if you make those sort of comments, you generally feel that there's only one outcome going to be. But I think that coming together, having dinner, as I said earlier on the radio, probably a 7-course meal, Shay Given mentioned, that they were able to sort out their differences. And obviously, like I said before, Glasner coming out and apologising and saying that he probably shouldn't have said what he said at the time, emotion involved. I think that was the right thing, and I think that sort of settled things down for now.
Wharton with a errant pass through the middle third, and he's given it away. João Pedro with a nice turn away from Lacroix this time, pokes it to Estevao, right hand side of the penalty area. Great feet, Estevao, but his right foot shot blocked by Richards coming across. The first bit he did really well, Estevao, but he just ran out of room, and it was good defending in the end by Richards to prevent the shot going on target. Yeah,
really good play. Firstly from João Pedro, he does so well. He drops the shoulder to go left, then dinks it back cross to the right, outdoes the defender, plays the ball into Estevao. Estevao does really well in a tight situation, and I thought Tyrick Mitchell did exceptionally well. Stayed on his feet. He's the one that put in the block in the end, and then Palace come away with the ball.
The voice of former Premier League goalkeeper, former Chelsea goalkeeper Mark Schwarzer with us on 5 Sports Extra. Still 0-0 between these London rivals, Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Chris Richards is winding up for this long throw on his 100th Palace appearance. It's a throw that's probably slap bang in the middle of the Chelsea half, so it's a long old way for him to launch, and his throw doesn't have great distance, but it's helped forward errantly by a Chelsea head and then poked wide by Ismaila Sarr, who was not too far away from turning that home. Well, it looked a throw that wasn't overly threatening, and then a Chelsea head turned it into a really dangerous opportunity, and Sarr, just in front of the goalkeeper, pokes it wide.
Wow, that is a massive chance for Crystal Palace. The throw is a really good one, and I'll tell you what, they're one of the most difficult balls to defend against. Obviously there's no battle. If you're throwing it, it's hard to judge. As Chelsea play out at the back there, they got really tight. I mean, I'm going to question Sanchez there, because they played a goal kick. Palace were right up on them, and Sanchez plays a ball 5-6 yards with Palace players either side of his defender, just so little room. In the end, Chelsea do really well to play out of a very sticky situation.
Yeah, Mark's slight hesitation there, because it did look for a moment that Chelsea were about to gift Crystal Palace a wonderful chance. Robert Sanchez playing the ball. We see it so often actually now with a lot of Premier League teams. Midfielder comes deep to create that angle, and then he plays it out to right back or left back, but defending teams are very wise to it as well. But no harm done, and Chelsea can clear.
But it goes back to that long throw. The throws are so difficult to deal against because it was actually thrown at quite a lower level. Yeah. It's not looped in, and because of the pace on the ball, it's so difficult to judge. And I think in the end it was Reece James who kindly slightly overreads it, comes out too far. He's the one then reaching back, trying to get a header onto it. He flicks it into the path of Sarr, into that 6-yard area, like edge of the 6-yard box, just out of reach for Sanchez to come out for. The defenders can't get there, and Sarr gets the first contact, uncontested, has a really good chance to try and control it, or direct it, not control it, not take a touch, but direct it, and unfortunately couldn't do it.
Lerma with a brave diving header in the centre of midfield to push Palace further up the field. You heard the cheers of appreciation from the Crystal Palace fans. Sanchez has it back for Chelsea inside his own penalty area. 0-0 after a flourish of chances for Palace and for Chelsea. Waiting for our next, and we've been waiting a while. Mitchell, though, has space on this near side, the left to scamper into, level with the edge of the penalty area, dinks the ball across. Mateta glances it towards the back post. May have been trying to divert it to a colleague at the back post, or maybe finding that bottom corner. Didn't really get the required contact on it, and Chelsea able to clear.
I think Mateta does extremely well to get a header on that in the direction of the goal. Yes, it's slightly off target, and he doesn't get the pace because the ball's behind him. Tyreek Mitchell's ball into the box is really whipped in, and the whip just takes it a little bit behind Mateta, and he just can't get enough power on it and direction on it. But again, good delivery, and it's a warning sign for Chelsea.
Wharton, Mateta with a very early pass on the halfway line, looking for Mitchell, but James very quickly across to cover, now has some thinking to do, and he plays it riskily back to Sanchez, who gets away with that slightly. His miscued clearance very nearly straight to Lerma. Wharton picks it up for Palace. Now Johnson, who will not keep that in play. It's another pass that Wharton would expect himself to make. It's another one he apologises for, because had he got that right, Johnson had a crossing opportunity on the left of the penalty area.
Yeah, good little play again from Palace. Sustained pressure. These last couple of minutes, Palace have been on that front foot. They've really kept Chelsea in their own half, partially because of Chelsea's own doing. Chelsea are they're adamant, they're going to play out at the back. Got Palace 3 players inside the 10-yard box, they're still playing a short one. And Chelsea are trying to play out at the back.
Yeah, they're determined to keep playing that way. It's not really working out for them so far, as Wharton easily picks up the loose ball in midfield. I
mean, they've turned over possession, the last 4 times now? When they've got the ball, the goal kick, they've played short. Palace have got 3 players waiting to come in the box. Chelsea have obviously got 3. It's 3 against 3 inside the box, trying to play short. They go the long way around out to the left-hand side. Cucurella then plays the ball up down the line, and it's just easily intercepted by Palace once again.
Liam Rosenior watches on, hands plumped in his pockets. Caicedo, Falsar, he needs to be very, very careful, does Moises Caicedo, having already picked up that early yellow card. It was another similar challenge, it has to be said, maybe not with the same malice as the first, but still, you don't want to be making too many of those.
Yeah, just watching it on our monitor again, Sarr does really well initially. Yeah, it's just that stepping across and kind of like, again, almost like he's not stomping his foot down, but he's reaching across, and it comes down with quite a motion. It just has to be really careful. I mean, that is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that challenge in terms of any malice, but he just has to be careful. Now that he's on a yellow card, that's another free kick he's given away.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't a second yellow card, but it's another little point on the Darren England graph, isn't it? You don't want to be notching up too many of those, otherwise he might have a decision to make. Free kick is clipped in, but cleared by Chelsea to this near side, the left, and Palace go all the way back to halfway, but that's a loose pass straight to Esteban. Has he got the pace to get away from Mitchell? He has. He's one-on-one with the goalkeeper and scores emphatically. Chelsea take the lead, and it's the 18-year-old wonder kid Esteban, gifted possession, but he had an awful lot to do, racing away from Mitchell on halfway, and then he powered it into the corner to make it Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 1.
Yeah, great finish from Esteban, does so well. Yes, he gets the opportunity by being played in by a Crystal Palace player, but he still has a race on. He's got to take control of the ball, he's got to keep it under control, he's got to get past Tyreek Mitchell, or at least prevent Mitchell from getting back in between him and the goal side. He comes across the face of the goal and then smashes it as he goes across to the left-hand side of the goal, smashes it back across the face, past Henderson and into the roof of the net. Really good finish and really good play.
It is a fine goal. The celebrations are still going on. Estevao's on his knees with his hands in the air, with his gloves on, now waves and points to the Chelsea fans in the Arthur Waite stand opposite us, right in the corner. They would have enjoyed that. Chris Richards would not have enjoyed it. It was his error, his pass from a deep position. He thought he'd just try and knock it back to the halfway line for Palace to start again. He did not see Estevao, and Estevao did the rest.
Yeah, he showed really good pace, really good strength, and kept his head, just didn't panic as Mitchell was putting a lot of pressure on him. He took it across the face of the goal, and by doing so just gave himself a little bit more time to sort of line up the shot.
And what was really impressive, Mark, about that goal is how often do you hear it as Mateta nods forward but straight into the hands of Sanchez. And you often hear it's been a criticism of Victor Gyökeres for Arsenal. The first touch is often away from goal. Estevao cuts across his man. So even if you can't find a shot, you're committing the defender who might foul you.
I think the fact that he was on this right-hand side of the pitch, so he was always running at a direction across the goal, if you know what I mean, from the angle in which he was coming from. And Tyrick Mitchell just couldn't get that extra sort of half a stride in so that he could get in that in sort of a bit of a more advantaged position. And Estevao just does really well because he's just got his pace, he's got his strength, control of the ball, and the finish was there. I mean, in the end, it didn't go on the roof of the net. Well, like I said initially in the commentary, it actually just smashes about midway up into the goal, and he just uses the pace to go past and blast it past Dean Henderson.
6th goal of the season for the 18-year-old. And it has Chelsea in the lead on 5 Sports Extra with just under 10 minutes to play until half-time. Chelsea in possession, comfortable possession in their back line. Robert Sanchez has it. And what sort of response now will we see from a Crystal Palace side, remember, who have not won in 7 Premier League games?
Yeah, and it comes sort of against that run of play a little bit, hasn't it? Where Chelsea had the possession, they tried to play out at the back, got caught out a few times, turned over possession, and all of a sudden one wayward pass from Crystal Palace, they get punished. And that's the difference, the quality, isn't it? Estevao showed some real quality.
So all 3 away sides in the 2 o'clock Premier League games are in front. Forest in front at Brentford, Villa in front at Newcastle, and Chelsea in front here at Crystal Palace. Badiashile, not his most convincing of clearances. Wharton to Munoz, who will be challenged by Cucurella, who then leaves a little bit on Cucurella. Not intentionally, it was just simply in his efforts to win the ball. It came off Munoz last, and Cucurella didn't make a great deal of it, and he can get Chelsea going again with a long throw in the direction of Neto. Lacroix clears in the air, Wharton in midfield, and now Chris Richards, who immediately turned, put his hands in the air to apologise. He knew, and it must be such an awful feeling, Mark, as a player, and actually in your position as a goalkeeper, sadly for you, when mistakes come, it often results in a goal, and it did there for Chris Richards.
Oh, it's horrible. It really is a horrible feeling. You want the ground to open up and swallow you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Obviously, you've made a mistake, and you just got to hold your hands up and get on, and get on with it.
Caicedo, bit of space in midfield. The ball for João Pedro, who's just inside the penalty area. That's a good challenge, Lacroix. Again, using his pace to make sure João Pedro didn't have an opportunity to turn and spin inside the penalty area. Henderson has it in his hands.
Yeah, brilliant defending. Timing was absolutely perfect. Slides in and plays it back in the direction of Henderson. The referee obviously has no problems with Henderson picking it up.
Johnson with an interesting ball looking for Munoz. Cucurella gets there in front of Munoz, who then fouls the Chelsea left back, much to the disgust of the Crystal Palace fans who weren't far away from that. Cucurella got there first. Munoz challenged fairly enough, but just leans into Cucurella, and Chelsea have this free kick. It's
a foul, it really is. I mean, look, Cucurella in the past, or certainly is known to sometimes exaggerate things a little bit. I don't think he exaggerated that one. There was a shove. He does go to ground. He actually didn't at all, and there was a mutual respect between the two of them. Munoz got up and picked him up and apologised. So there was nothing bad or malice in that challenge.
So Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 1. On 5 Sports Extra, Sanchez downfield, João Pedro on the edge of the Palace penalty area. Estevao will hair across to this near side to retrieve for Chelsea. Little step over and back to James on halfway, and Santos all the way back into the Chelsea half. Chalobah and Sanchez. This will very much suit Chelsea. They have the ball and they have the lead. Neto makes one of his little darts down the inside left channel, and he will keep this in play. Canvo goes across to challenge, wins the ball, and Chelsea have a throw level with the edge of their own penalty area, or Palace's penalty area rather.
Yeah, it's just that standard Pedro run, isn't it? It does it so effectively, gets in behind, runs in off the shoulder, whether it's out wide or whether he comes in a little bit in between the right fullback and the central defender. On this occasion, the three centre halves, he comes inside the right hand side one, and there's always a bit of space, and he's got the pace to burn, so does it comfortably, keeps it in play.
Chelsea were in a promising position on the edge of the penalty area until Mitchell comes out and clears, and now Badiashile loops the ball over his head. Munoz on halfway. The sun returns at Selhurst Park, and Chelsea have it with João Pedro on halfway. That flick doesn't come off. Johnson in the centre circle. Lerma has to come out of a very congested area. Wharton keeps the attack moving to that far side, the right. Munoz back in field. Palace waiting patiently for the prime opportunity to get the ball into the penalty area. Richards turns away from his man, approaches the box, plays it back to Wharton, who strokes the ball just behind Munoz. He has to backtrack to ensure Palace still have the ball. Wharton, the Palace orchestrator in chief. And now Richards again on this near side, the left. Lacroix has Canvo to his right, and he's ignored. It was Canvo's error that led to the goal. Having seen the replay again, it was JD Canvo's errant pass that led to Estevao going through. The ball on the right hand side, Munoz crosses, Badiashile with his left leg clears, but straight back to a Crystal Palace shirt. Canvo. Just here the fans getting a little more excited that there might be something at the end of all of this, but at the moment it's at walking pace. Wharton, so many touches for him. Great ball to Sarr, he plays it in low, looking for the run of Johnson and also Mateta, but Chelsea had plenty of players back, and now they can come striding over halfway with Caicedo far side. Sun now shining brightly down, certainly the brightest it's been this afternoon. We can see the shadows of the stands on the pitch as well, as James has it for Chelsea, who lead Crystal Palace 1-0, 5 Sports Extra, 4 minutes to play, and you suspect, Mark, that Chelsea will be quite happy to keep comfortable possession to see this half-time lead intact.
Yeah, they will. They'll look to try and manage this time now between now and the end of the half. Obviously, if there's a chance arises, of course they want to take it. But in terms of keeping possession, slowing the game down, play it at their pace, control the narrative of the game for the remaining couple of minutes of this first half. As I say that, they just hand the possession straight to Crystal Palace.
And Wharton beginning to find more space to operate in that midfield third. Johnson round the corner, Sarr on the right hand side of the box. First time cross is cleared by Chalobah to comparative safety. Canvo will now be very careful when he plays back to the halfway line, but he did that sensibly enough, carefully, and he gets a nice round of applause from the Crystal Palace fans. Ball on this near side, the left now. Mitchell is going backwards rather than forwards, and it's the centre back, one of the three, Lacroix, for Crystal Palace, who have exactly 3 minutes plus stoppage time at the end of this first half to try and find an equaliser. Palace, who are 7 Premier League games without a win, and Chelsea, who have only won 2 of their last 10 Premier League games and have gone 5 away from home without victory, last beating Burnley on the road 2-0 at Turf Moor. That's a good ball to Johnson, who didn't really know where it was, and as such it hit him on the back of the head. Luckily for him, it bounces to Mitchell on the left-hand side of the penalty area. He's onto his left foot now, going the long way round James. In support is Richards, who has plenty of time to angle this cross, and it's not a good one. Didn't beat Enzo Fernandez, who was standing on the edge of the penalty area, and as such, Estevao is released again. It's a carbon copy of the goal here. Estevao into the penalty area for 2-0. Chelsea puts it wide. Instead of going across his man, he went on the near side, and with his right foot this time looked for the other corner, and it was always going away from goal.
Oh wow, I'll tell you what, that's another big chance for Chelsea that came about because of Palace giving the possession of the ball away too easily. This occasion, Richards in a really good position. He just needs to whip this ball into the box. Instead, he underhits it massively. Chelsea defender, it's one header in the direction of Estevao, and Estevao's off.
And here come Palace, who are off with Mitchell on the left-hand side of the box. His first-time ball in, blocked at source, will drop to Sarr on the edge of the box, and his cutback in the direction of Johnson was under-hit. It allowed Andre Santos to nip in. Johnson fouls him. Chelsea have a free kick on the edge of their own penalty area, and we have 90 seconds of the first half to play.
Yeah, Palace have got themselves to blame. The quality of the delivery in the box, that final pass, hasn't been good enough. Certainly in the last 15 minutes or so, there've been a couple of times Munoz down the right-hand side, really good position. Sarr was also another one where they look to play the ball across the face of the 6-yard box, and there's just an overload of Chelsea players in the near post easy area. Bittershield both times, on 2 occasions, clears it really comfortably. They've got to get the better delivery, and Mateta's at the far post. He's looking for a ball whipped in with a bit of height. That's what you've got to do. You've got to try and look up, find your teammate, whip the right ball into the box.
Palace 0, Chelsea 1, plenty of movement in the Holmesdale end to our right. Eyes are trained on several of the fans who are disappearing down the concourse, ready for a half-time refreshment. Palace, who created that excellent chance early on, Jean-Philippe Mateta capitalising on good Ismaila Sarr pressure to dispossess Badiashile, couldn't find the finish. Chelsea also had a chance with Enzo Fernandez, but have taken their one big opportunity made by a sloppy Canvo pass. Estevao, who still had so much of the pitch to cover to get into a scoring position, he did it well. His finish was excellent, and Chelsea have what looks like a half-time 1-0 lead. The fourth official, Tony Harrington, shows us 2 minutes of additional time to play at the end of this first half. No change in the scores elsewhere, still 0-1 in the other 2 Premier League games. Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 0, Aston Villa 1. Badiashile back to Robert Sanchez, orange gloves, green kit. João Pedro backs into Lacroix, and it's Lacroix who wins the header. Munoz rather aimlessly plays it forward, and the offside flag is up on that far side. Fernandez actually slipped, which allowed Sarr to control, but he was offside, and Chelsea have this free kick inside their own half.
Yeah, Chelsea will be happy to see this time out now in this first half. 1-0 up. They took their big chance that they got in this first half, almost gifted to them, which is fair play to Estevao. Very good finish, had a lot to do from the halfway line. And the rest of the time they've really just been kind of like never really tested enough. Sanchez has he's made one save, which was a big save against Mateta earlier on. Mateta, I think, more so should have scored, but Sanchez did pull off a really good save with his right foot. Other than that, Palace, just that final delivery in the box has been lacking.
And actually we saw the difference in the 2 finishes, didn't we? Mateta, who wasn't in a too dissimilar position to the position that Estevao scored. Mateta went more for placement, Estevao went for pure power.
Well, Mateta, I think he was only, probably about 7-8 yards out when he let go of his shot. I mean, for me, normally, I would say that's like 95, 97% of the time, that is a goal. And a player of Mateta's quality, that should be a goal. Estevao, I think, had a more difficult job at his hands and made it look simple.
Yeah. You're not missing a great deal as we play out the final 15 seconds of stoppage time. Palace have the ball in their right back position. Canvo clears downfield. You wonder if Oliver Glasner will need to have a comforting word with him at half-time. Lerma is fouling Enzo Fernandez on the halfway line. He's not overly pleased, is the Argentinian, with Lerma's challenge, and he turns, and in fact the referee spares any altercation by blowing the half-time whistle, and that is where we are at half-time, with Chelsea leading by 1-0. Estevao, the goal scorer, loose Canvo pass. Estevao picked it up on halfway, charged across Mitchell into the penalty area, unstoppable left foot finish. Before that, Jean-Philippe Mateta had an excellent Palace chance. His right foot shot saved by Sanchez. Enzo Fernandez has also come close for Chelsea. Estevao also with another opportunity to make it 2 when he was through on goal, but his right foot shot wide. Not a huge amount between them in the middle third, but Chelsea have been more clinical with their chances, and at least with the one chance they've got, they've scored, which is why, Mark Schwarzer, at half-time, we are at Palace 0, Chelsea 1.
We are, yes. I mean, I think in the end, look, could have easily have been 0-0 or 1-1. Both sides have had big chances. Chelsea have taken one of theirs. And as we were watching all these people go off the pitch, the staff, I counted 26 of those, what are they, off-white jackets from Chelsea?
Yeah.
That is a lot.
Yeah, the grey jackets, the off-white jackets troop down the tunnel. Yeah, we know there are an awful lot of people involved on the dugouts these days. What will Oliver Glasner say? That 7 Premier League games without a win. We know it's been a tricky week. They've had moments, haven't they? And actually, when the goal came, it was probably during Palace's brightest 10 minutes.
Yeah, Palace had a really good period of time there. A really good phase where they put a lot of pressure on Chelsea. Chelsea, at times, I would say, you would have to say, were overplaying trying to get out, and most of the time just gave possession back to Crystal Palace, albeit never really in a really dangerous position. However, they just continuously put pressure on themselves, and then there was from Palace's own undoing, the poor back pass that allowed Esteval to run onto, which he still had a lot to do from the halfway line, but he did very, very well, showed pace, strength, patience, and then he kept his head, and it was a pretty decent finish in the end as well.
For his 6th goal of the season, the 18-year-old having a very good season with Chelsea. So half-time at Selhurst Park, Palace 0, Chelsea 1. Still playing in the other 2 o'clock games. Brentford Forest is 1-0 Forest, and Newcastle Villa 1-0 Aston Villa. We will be back for the second half of Palace Chelsea on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra, so do join us for that. In the meantime, let's hand you back to BBC Radio 5 Live.
It was straight into the arms of Emi Martinez, who, as we approach the half-time whistle, and there is the half-time whistle, has made 2 huge saves in this game as well. Boos at half-time, they're more for the officials than for Newcastle, although there has been frustration from the fans at points that Newcastle have given the ball away. Michael Brown, what do we make of that first half?
Yeah, good first half of football. You see Newcastle set off, put the tempo onto Aston Villa, sending them on the back foot, and then it was all about the quality. In different areas, you switch off in the Premier League, you give someone some space. Buendia has been playing so well, just finds himself on the opposite side. It's a wonderful strike, so difficult for Pope. We've seen big saves initially, didn't we, early on. Tonali, that wonderful run, Emi Martinez sticking his foot out, and then that Watkins drive across as Pope stays big, sees that one off. So some really big moments in the game. The officials have got a lot of stick, but I will back him on this occasion. I don't think he was far away.
So Aston Villa, 45 minutes away from a bit of history, their first league win here since 2005, but more importantly, what would be a massive 3 points. What can Newcastle do to thwart that in the second half? We will find out. Half-time at St James's Park. It is Newcastle 0, Aston Villa 1.
And in Emi Buendia, Michael Brown, another example of the fact that you don't necessarily have to spend mega bucks to get very effective players. That was a hell of a strike.
It was a great strike, Steve. And do you know, like I mentioned in the commentary about how Everton sort of tried to look after him and McGinn in particular, they changed their system away from home. Do you know, the fullbacks went higher and the wide players come in and tried to look after them, but slightly different from Newcastle. They've got sort of split it, fullbacks really high and wide, Tonali dropping in to make a 3, and they're a little bit stretched. And then on the back of the midfield areas, once he just drops into that space, he pushes it out of his feet, he just goes into somewhere where he hadn't been all game, and then the execution was wonderful. We've seen some big strikes though as well, some big opportunities, big efforts from the goalkeeper, some big saves. We've seen Emi Martinez obviously on the dark side where he's falling over, but I think it's going to be another great half of football, and now can Eddie Howe think about what's needed to get his team back into this.
Newcastle 0, Aston Villa 1. We'll be back for the second half, of course. So Villa, as it stands, going level with Manchester City on 46 points. Chelsea, as it stands, moving into the top 4. Aaron Paul.
Yeah, Palace 0, Chelsea 1. A sublime solo strike from the extremely talented Esteval. As the Blues ahead, there's a poor pass from JD Cambo, sold Tyreek Mitchell short. Esteval opportunistic, able to pick the ball up in his own half, holding off Mitchell, sprinting towards goal. It's a fabulous solo run before absolutely lashing the ball past past Dean Henderson. A sublime strike. The Brazilian has had another sight on goal. Again down the right, getting in round the back, drilling a shot which flew wide at the post with Henderson beaten. Palace have been frustrated in their attacking efforts, although not entirely bad. John-Philippe Mateta with their best chance, saved by the feet of Sanchez. Palace hunting for a first win in 7, but they're behind at the interval. Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 1.
West Ham's big win yesterday meant that Nottingham Forest needed a response at Brentford. Half-time whistle's gone. James Gregg.
It's not quite gone, Steve, actually, but they do lead a goal to 0. You're bang right about that. The Europa League disappointment from midweek, and obviously this poor Premier League run that they're on for Sean Dyche's side hasn't lingered. There is the half-time whistle. So they are off, and they are a goal to the good with 45 minutes left. A very agreeable first half, by the way, if you're of a Forest persuasion. They've had the majority of the possession and the play. The goal came from a brilliant bit of work down the right-hand side from Aina, and as the looping ball hung in the air with his back to goal, a sumptuous flick up with the left, and then a finish with the right from Igor Jesus. They've created from all angles, and they've nipped a lot of that Brentford break and brilliance in the bud as well, which is half the battle here, isn't it? They've only lost at the G-Tech once all season, remember, at Brentford. And that rather humbling moment, which saw both Ajer and Damsgaard limp off injured at the same time, has now given Keith Andrews' side a lot to do in the second half to try and wrestle themselves back into this one. It's Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 1.
So you'll get the second half of that on Sports Extra 2, the second half from Selhurst on 5 Sports Extra, and here on 5 Live, the second half from St James's Park. Coming up next then, we will take you for the first time this afternoon to John Murray and Matt Upson at the Emirates to look ahead to Arsenal Manchester United. That one's in full at 4:30. We'll also have reaction from the Manchester City women's manager Andre Yeglert. They've got 9 points clear at the top of the WSL with victory this afternoon, and we'll look ahead to the 2 big games in the Scottish Premiership that get underway in 6 minutes' time: Celtic Hearts and Rangers Dundee. All after the news on 5 Live with Dan Maudsley.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Less than 24 hours after he threw his hat in the ring, the Greater Manchester Mayor, Andy Burnham, has been blocked from standing for Labour in the Gorton and Denton by-election. Sir Keir Starmer is said to be among the 8 members of Labour's National Executive Committee who voted against granting him permission, with the only vote in Mr Burnham's favour coming from Deputy Leader Lucy Powell. The former Shadow Chancellor John McDowell has accused the Prime Minister of cowardice, but the local government secretary Steve Reed defended the decision.
People voted in Greater Manchester overwhelmingly for Andy Burnham to be their mayor 2 years ago for a 4-year term. He's only halfway through. Under the Labour Party rules, any mayor that wants to seek selection for a parliamentary by-election has to get permission first. On this occasion, the NEC has decided against it because it would inconvenience 2 million people who only voted for their mayor 2 years ago, expecting a 4-year term.
The family of a man shot dead by Border Patrol guards in the US city of Minneapolis have called for the truth about his killing. Officials have given conflicting accounts of the killing. Online videos of the incident suggest 37-year-old Alex Pretty, who had a licence to carry, was armed but didn't draw his gun. 86 people have been arrested on suspicion of aggravated trespass after breaching the grounds of Wormwood Scrubs prison in West London. The Metropolitan Police said the group was protesting in support of a Palestine Action prisoner on a hunger strike. And Network Rail says a limited service is now operating in Dawlish after an inspection. A sea wall next to the railway line collapsed yesterday as Storm Ingrid hit the Devon coast.
5 Live Sports.
Don't miss out on a whole world of live sport. With the BBC Sounds app, get access to the biggest sporting moments as they happen on 5 Sports Extra, Sports Extra 2 and Sports Extra 3.
Champion in Paris for the first time.
Scroll through the live radio dial and put yourself at the heart of the action.
This is 5 Live Sports with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Half-times in the Premier League. Newcastle 0, Villa 1, Palace 0, Chelsea 1 and Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Massive game in the Scottish Premiership about to get underway at Tynecastle. Hearts versus Celtic, first versus second, 6 points between them. Kenny Crawford.
Steve, it's Robert Burns Day here in Scotland when many celebrate the renowned poet's significant body of work. He never seems short of inspiration and drama, and neither has this Scottish Premiership football season. Today, the latest stanza will be penned, and just what will unfold is anyone's guess. Hearts 6 points clear with 16 games remaining. Even the team lines make interesting reading. 43-year-old Craig Gordon preferred in goal to Alexander Schwolow for the hosts, while new signing on loan from Birmingham Mark Leonard goes straight into midfield, which is blighted by injury and suspension. Up front, meanwhile, Burkina Faso forward Landry Kabore has the responsibility of filling Lawrence Shankland's boots. As for Celtic, new Czech striker Thomas Chivanchara, signed on loan from Borussia Mönchengladbach, makes a starting debut. Nigrin and Arojo also come in. Hitati Tuneke and Donovan drop out.
Rangers go into this afternoon's match against 9th place Dundee, level on points with Celtic. They're on a run of 5 straight league wins. Martin Dowden.
Yes, capitalising on events in the capital. The priority for Rangers today. They know Hearts, Celtic or both will drop points. Head coach Danny Rule looking to continue an almost stealth-like creep to the very heart of this title race. Results couldn't be any better. 7 wins in a row in all competitions. 4 changes for them with 2 new signings handed first starts. Those winger Andreas Skovall Wilson and midfielder Tochi Chukwueze. Don't write off Dundee though, they've had a real upturn themselves of late and earned a point here at Ibrox earlier this season.
In the WSL, Bunny Shaw scored the winner for Manchester City as they beat London City Lionesses 2-1 to go 9 points clear at the top of the table. Here's City manager Andrei Yeglerts with Samashu.
Well, Andre, many congratulations. What are the emotions after that one?
That's a good question. I would say relief, because there is it is a tough game. I think we struggle a little bit in the game also. We don't find a way through them. They are defending very well, and they are lethal in the transition. So it's almost like you are nervous a little bit, like we are not breaking the first line, and then there is a transition moment. So that creates a couple of chances for them. But afterwards also very proud, because I think that this group that we have here, there is a winning mentality that says that no matter what, we will do everything we can. There is no player that is giving up or doing anything like that. They are keep on working all the time and trying to find different ways of creating scoring chances and scoring. And today we found it in the end of the game.
City manager Andrei Yeglerts. Other scores 4 times. Villa 1, Manchester United 4, Leicester 1, West Ham 2 and Liverpool 2, Tottenham 0. Once we're done at St James's Park and Selhurst and the G-Tech, will be off to the Emirates. Arsenal, Manchester United in full at 4:30. Your commentary team, Matt Upson and correspondent John Murray. John, so much intrigue about this.
Yes, very much so. And it's almost a completely different match, isn't it, to what it might have been, say, a month ago. So obviously Michael Carrick, having had the dream derby start last weekend, I mean, what a start that is for him in the job. Manchester City at home and then coming away to the Premier League leaders, Arsenal. But I think as well, Arsenal, even though they are going quite serenely along, it is 2 0-0 draws in their last 2 league matches, against Liverpool here and, of course, against Nottingham Forest last weekend. So if they don't win this one, you know what the chatter will be.
Exactly, and Matt, you're the perfect person to ask this to as a centre back.
Oh.
We spoke. What do you mean? You know, have confidence, Matt. Come on, you've got this.
Okay.
If you were in the Manchester United team today, which of these 3 names in the starting lineup would you least like to see? Gyökeres, Havertz, Jesus.
Well, while Matt thinks about that, I can tell you that there's a non-clue in the fact that Gabriel Jesus is on the front cover of the match programme today after his 2 goals against Inter.
Okay, so that might be a sign. Well, John,
have you thought yet?
Well, I have thought. I think it would probably be Jesus.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I think he is in goal-scoring form. Havertz isn't quite there up to speed, and I think he offers a lot, Kai Havertz. And I think Gyökeres, for me personally, while he's a good foil and he'll work hard and he'll run those chances, I think he's a player that you can read and contain maybe a little bit easier than the unpredictability of what a Jesus brings. And I think that...
The Premier League on 5 Sports Extra.
Welcome back to Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 1, the half-time score. Second half not too far away. On BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra, we have both sides out with us. Chelsea have been out for a couple of moments. They've already had their pre-second half huddle, and Crystal Palace, in dribs and drabs, are joining us and taking their place in the half away to our left. They will be kicking towards the Holmesdale end in this second half. A tight first half, the difference being Estevao's very good finish after Canvo's error. Estevao getting across his man, firing into the corner. Crystal Palace created chances in that first half. Mateta with the best of them. We shall see how this second half pans out, and it is go. Darren England whistled to his lips. Dean Henderson has it in his back line, just outside his own penalty area. Long ball downfield. Cucurella meets it with his head. I'll run you through the 2 11s. No changes at the break for either side. Palace have early second half possession with Tyreek Mitchell far side the left. Palace going from left to right in this second half, so they will be tacking towards the Holmesdale Ultras away to our right. Their traditional home strip, the red and blue horizontal striped shirts, blue shorts, blue socks, and Chelsea in their cream, their off-white strip, going from right to left in this second half. Former Premier League goalkeeper Mark Schwarzer alongside. What's your hunch for the second half? How do you see it playing out?
Well, of course, Crystal Palace have to take the game at some stage to Chelsea. They have to look to be a little bit more, show a bit more initiative in the second half. They can't sit back, of course, so therefore I think the game will open up a little bit at times and Chelsea will have space to run into.
Caicedo to Santos, midway through the Crystal Palace half. Caicedo gets another touch. Now Cucurella, who tiptoes towards the edge of the penalty area. Ball to the back post. Estevao heads it back across. Fernandes not too far away from it. Palace managed to scramble it away, but Chelsea have started this second half on the front foot, and they have it again. James, good ball in. João Pedro's header, wide off a Crystal Palace head, yes. Darren England took an awfully long time to give that decision, but eventually points to the corner, and just like they did at the start of the game, Chelsea have an early set piece in this second half.
Yeah, it comes off Munoz at the far post, doesn't it? As the ball gets whipped in, looks like Cucurella's getting on the end of it. I actually think he thinks João Pedro's going to head it, and therefore he actually doesn't go for it, and it just flies past his head. I think he's just caught unaware, and it hits Munoz unbeknownst to him, and it goes out for a corner.
All of Reece James' first half corners were dinked towards the front post. We'll see what the second half plan is. In front of the White Horse Lane end to our left, it's right under the goalkeeper's nose. He got a good punch to it. Estevao heads it back into the danger area, but that's cleared by Ismaila Sarr. Cucurella and Mateta now challenge in the centre of the Palace half. It breaks Palace's way, but the ball forward is expertly controlled by Chalobah, who uses his chest well to get away from his man. His clearance is not so successful. Wharton robs him. Lerma has options to his left-hand side. Mitchell, first touch heavy, and that allowed Caicedo to nip in. And Crystal Palace have this throw midway through the Chelsea half.
That was a classic. Moise Caicedo, he's on a yellow card. He knows he can't dive in. That ball popped up for him. If he reacts straight away, he gets it easily. But there's a slight hesitation because of that yellow card in the back of his mind.
Yeah, that's one to watch in this second half. Caicedo booked in the first half for a typically Caicedo-like challenge, just a little bit late, and he had another slight infringement that was borderline yellow card. So Darren England will be well aware of that, and so will Caicedo, so will Palace. And here comes their long throw, which will be easily headed away by Reece James. That wasn't a particularly lengthy throw by Richards, and he just turns and looks and has his arms outstretched as if to say, well, you know how long my throw is, so why are you not there to head it on?
Yeah, I think the players didn't stick to the plan. I think certainly Richards had an idea in his head where it was supposed to go, and none of his teammates read it or were up with the plan.
The ball all the way back with Henderson, so a chance to run you through the 11s. Henderson, the goalkeeper for Palace. Richards, Lacroix, Canvo, his mistake for the Chelsea goal. Munoz, Wharton, Lerma and Mitchell, Johnson, Sarr and Mateta. Chelsea have Sanchez in goal, James, Chalobah, Badiashile, Cucurella, Santos and Caicedo, Estevao the goal scorer, Fernandes, Neto and João Pedro leading the line. No changes at the break. We'll see how both managers utilise their bench. We'll see if Oliver Glasner does utilise his bench this time after not making a single change against Sunderland last week. Mateta robbed by Chalobah, and his early ball to João Pedro, who had a little bit of space there to control and find Estevao, who gets it back to João Pedro from the youngster. He's into the box, cuts back onto his left foot and drives home for Chelsea's second. João Pedro, neat turn inside the box, his left foot shot under Henderson. It's the perfect start for Chelsea in this second half. They double their lead. Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 2.
Yeah, it's a really well taken goal by João Pedro. The ball over the top in behind from Estevao was exceptional. First time pass, João Pedro's through. He's got opportunity to run into the box. He does so, runs sort of to the byline, edge of the 6-yard box. He looks up to try and whip across into the danger zone, but there's no one there, so he puts his foot on it, tucks back inside onto his left, and just goes for power. And it's Dean Henderson gets a foot onto it, but can't do enough, and it flies off his foot into the roof of the net, and Chelsea are 2-0 up. João Pedro, very good finish in the end, very good play.
His 9th of the season, beat Wharton with the turn, who maybe committed himself a little too easily, and then his left foot shot from a little angle went under Dean Henderson. The first couple of replays that we've seen, it doesn't look like there's any complaints about offside. There was a man on the far side keeping João Pedro on, and they often say, Mark, and you'll know better than anyone, that going actually underneath and low between the goalkeeper's legs can be the hardest ones to save.
Yeah, it's tough because he's so close, isn't he? He's down the byline, he dummies as if he's going to whip a cross in, takes it back onto his left as the defenders come across, players are diving in, Henderson's there, tries to make himself big, and Pedro just goes for pace, for power, and he smashes it towards his legs, and it comes off Henderson's leg and bounces into the roof of the net. So really well played from João Pedro.
And it's looking like, although we still have plenty of time to go, that Liam Rosenior will be winning his first away Premier League game in charge of Chelsea. They lead Crystal Palace 2-0. We've only played 6 and a bit minutes of the second half on 5 Sports Extra, but needless to say, exactly the start to the second half that Chelsea craved, and exactly the start to the second half that Crystal Palace feared. And they're on the back foot again, are the home side. That's a fair challenge on that far side by Richards, and Wharton can bring it further clear for Palace. He's over halfway, being roared on by the Palace fans. Munoz now right in front of us on this near side, the right, closed down by the gloved Neto, and that'll drop out of play for a Crystal Palace throw. And as they always say, Mark, when you score early in the second half, the benefit for Palace is there is plenty of time still to get themselves back in this game.
There is, but I mean, if you go by, I mean, look, 2-0 up, 2-0 behind at home is tough. And I think Palace have only on one occasion got a point when they've been behind at home, so when they go behind first at home, so it's a tough one for them at the moment. It's a mental challenge. They've got to dig deep. They've had chances. We saw it in the first half. They've got to try and create some more chances, try and get a goal to get back in this game. But at the moment for Chelsea, they've been more than delighted the way they've started the second half.
Chris Richards with the Palace long throw. Chelsea see it out of trouble, but now the referee is going to get some serious ire here from the Palace fans, because Palace were in an excellent position, but he stops the game because Trevor Chalobah had a head injury. But it looked like for a moment that Chalobah would get back up, but Darren England says, I had to stop it because of the head injury.
I mean, it is a head injury, it clearly is. He goes down straight away. You can see it on the replay, there's a definite coming together of heads. He's on the ground, he's holding his head. The fact that the game doesn't get stopped immediately, I think Trevor Chalobah just reacts and thinks, I've just got to try and get up here. And as he gets to his haunches, that's when the referee glances across and sees Trevor Chalobah on the ground holding his head. So I think it's a correct decision. It's just unfortunate for Crystal Palace, and obviously it's very frustrating.
Yeah, that's a difficult one for Crystal Palace to accept, although you're absolutely right, Mark. It was a good old clonk on Chalobah's head. I think he headed the back of a Crystal Palace player, and he did go down straight away. So by the letter of the law, it is absolutely the sensible and safe decision to stop the game, albeit it was a difficult one for Palace to take given their position.
It's a head injury. He's not play acting. You can clearly see it was. Look, even if he comes, look, let's hope he's okay and he comes back on the pitch. I think he will be, but it was a hefty knock. And the referee, because he doesn't see it immediately, is when the fans get a bit annoyed by it.
So the referee will drop the ball in a dangerous position for Palace, just on the right of the penalty area. Munoz to Wharton, who drifted into the penalty area, flicked on by a Chelsea head, and out of play for a Crystal Palace corner. And this is just the sort of response that Palace need if they are to get themselves back in this game, trailing as they do by 2-0.
Yeah, it was a good ball into the box, wasn't it? Whipped in the end. Badiashile does really well. I mean, it's just out of his reach, but he gets enough on it to help it along its way.
Chelsea temporarily down to 10 men because Trevor Chalobah is not being allowed back on here. So can Palace take advantage of their numerical advantage? Corner right into the heart of the penalty area, but it wasn't hit with any great pace. Now Sanchez takes it out of his penalty area, but only because Jefferson Lerma bundled him out of it. And Darren England has given the free kick in favour of Chelsea. Sanchez is still writhing in agony on the floor. And that all seemed a little bit unnecessary from all involved. Sanchez actually comes herring out of his goal. I don't think he knows where the line is, because he suddenly sees it in front of him, comes to a juddering halt and very nearly himself takes it out of his box. He's not looking where the line is, suddenly sees it and stops, and Lerma is right behind him, can't really avoid him. So I don't think Sanchez has shouldn't have too many complaints about what happened there.
Look, initially Sanchez does really well. He claims the cross. It's a really good claim. Runs to the edge of his box 100 miles an hour. You're right, I just think he completely loses track of where he is. But last second he realises, geez, I'm getting too close to my 8-yard box here, the edge of it. and Lerma just is behind him. There's nothing in that at all. Yes, it is a foul, no doubt about it.
But you're right, just was not expecting Sanchez to stop so quickly. Now the fans unhappy with a decision that has been given Chelsea's way. A throw on this near side, the left. Munoz and Cucurella clashing, and the double kiss there off Munoz. And Chelsea have this throw midway inside their own half. Santos towards halfway, and Wharton heads clear. Mateta looking for Johnson, who gets there in front of Andre Santos. Now he's complaining that he was fouled, and now the Palace fans unhappy at the protestations there. It's just all getting a little bit unnecessarily niggly. Eventually the outball is Neto on this near side, the left, coming in field from his left wing home. It goes from winger to winger, from Neto to Estevao, now in field to Fernandez, 25 yards out, chance for James to cross, an invitation he refuses. Estevao shoots, saved, parried, Cucurella's volley into the ground, and easy for Henderson. Yeah. Another half chance for Chelsea.
Yeah, it was a decent chance, wasn't it? A good save from Dean Henderson. A little bit fortunate with the parry, bounces over João Pedro, and you can see Cucurella there on his left foot, really difficult one. He lifts his left foot up left, almost horizontally to the ground, and tries to volley it, and he just smashes it into the ground. It's an easy one for Henderson. But I can get the frustration from the Palace fans, because Chelsea players are going down really easily. Sanchez's reaction of that coming together with Lerma was an overreaction. It was unnecessary. Then we saw Santos go down claiming he was fouled by Brennan Johnson, which he clearly wasn't. There's just an exaggeration at the moment that's truly frustrating the Palace fans.
Well, it certainly has the Palace fans up for it. We can hear the rhythmical sound of the drum being bashed in the Holmesdale end to our right. They're all on their feet, the Holmesdale Ultras. Our view, as it always is here at Palace from where we watch in the main stand, obstructed by the old corrugated iron roof that comes sweeping down below us, so we have a letterbox view of proceedings, positioned as we are in the corner here. And we've got a good view of the half that Crystal Palace are attacking, and they'll need to spend, you'd fancy, the majority of the second half in it if they are to find a way back in the game.
Yeah, they've spent quite a bit of this time, haven't they? And right in front of us, which has been great. Because of the way the roof is here, where we're sitting in our commentary position, any further on the other side is a little bit more difficult, certainly when the ball goes a bit above head height.
Yes, if you're unluckily positioned in the press box, you're right in front of a pillar, which isn't great viewing. Reece James for Chelsea, moving it forward swiftly. Estevao on the right, overlapping James, his ball in. Oh, Henderson flaps, João Pedro tap in. Now that looked like handball, but the referee says no. JD Canvo in the centre of the controversy again. His arm was by his side, but it looked like it hit it. No real appeals actually from the players. Caicedo into the box, that's easy for Dean Henderson. This will of course be checked by VAR in the background. The initial cross was parried by Henderson. João Pedro had the prod towards goal, and Mark, the replay will tell us what happened.
There's no doubt it touches his hand, it hits his hand, there's no doubt about it. His hand blocks the shot. The question is it in an unnatural position? Because the block is from literally, a metre away. He's got no chance whatsoever to move his arm. It isn't a natural position, in my opinion. We'll have to wait and see. The game is still playing. It doesn't seem like at the moment the referee hasn't looked to stop play. The ball hasn't gone out. I think it's going to be very, very harsh if this is a penalty against Crystal Palace.
Well, you fancy. I know the ball has not. Oh, the referee is being called to the screen. I was about to say, because the game hasn't been stopped, I think Palace are okay. But as they were knocking the ball away at the back, the referee stopped the game, and Darren England has been advised by Matt Donoghue at Stockley Park to have a look at this. So he's made the signal with his arms, and now he's gone over to the screen, which is on the far side to us in front of the Arthur Waite stand, and we will be seeing a replay of this handball. And for some reason they've started the replay miles back, so we're going to wait an awfully long time for it to get to the handball. Maybe they're checking for the offside, which presumably is fine, otherwise there's no point looking at all this bit.
Yeah, and you know what, obviously this is now open for interpretation, isn't it? I mean, the referee has an opportunity now to interpret how he sees it. It's going to be so harsh on him. I tell you what, if he gives this as a penalty, I think that's so hard. I actually think it may have even come off his thigh first.
Agreed.
So that's not a penalty to me. It comes off his thigh initially, I think. Chest, thigh, stomach area, thigh. I think this will be really harsh if it goes against him.
Now, we saw at Manchester City yesterday, Farah Halam, his very first Premier League game, he was sent to the screen and he did not give the penalty, which is not the norm, is it? We always expect referees to give the penalty. Now Darren England has looked at this 4, 5, 6 times. We're seeing a replay from the goal cam, so this is in the bottom of the net. We're seeing JD Cambo's, you're right Mark, it's thigh, right arm, but his right arm is right by his side.
I don't know where he's supposed to put his arm. Like, I mean, we're talking about, okay, I just don't know where he's going to put his arm. It comes off his thigh, he's got no chance.
Yeah, but the more this is looked at, the more you feel this is only going one way, and that's a Chelsea penalty. Still Darren England in dialogue, still he's watching the screen. Dean Henderson is right behind him, the Palace captain. Sarr and Johnson are looking too. I'm
right in saying it comes off his thigh, off his midriff area, right?
Yeah,
first.
I agree.
So for me that can't be a penalty. It's like impossible in that area, unless his arm is really really widely stretched out. It's not even that. It hardly comes off his body at all. I think this will be incredibly harsh if it goes against.
We're about to find out. Darren England blows his whistle. He asks the players to move away from him.
I think
he blows his whistle. We will hear the announcement. He makes the signal. Here comes the announcement.
After review, the ball hits Crystal Palace 23. It is an accidental handball, not a deliberate. It's an accidental handball. Therefore, it is a penalty kick. However, because it's accidental, it is only a yellow card. Only a yellow card.
Wow, that was a range of emotions during all of that. I must admit, when Darren England said accidental handball, I thought he wasn't going to give it. But then he says penalty. And in fact, the hesitation was only because to say it's not a red card and it's a yellow card. My word. I don't think I've ever heard an explanation quite like that.
Yeah, I feel for him, because I think that's really harsh. The fact is, because it comes off his thigh or his midriff area first. I mean, yeah, I feel for him.
Well, you heard the explanation from Darren England. Accidental handball, but a handball nonetheless. The guidelines are off. Well, they are different when it is an attacking shot on goal in the penalty area, but still, it feels unfair. And poor old JD Canvo, who made the mistake for the first goal, has conceded a penalty, but it's difficult to attach too much blame to him. You'll see it tonight, match of the day, 10:30 tonight, BBC One. For now, Enzo Fernandez has a chance to surely take the game away from Crystal Palace. They lead by 2-0 to Chelsea, and Enzo Fernandez, in the absence of Cole Palmer, has the opportunity to make it 3 in front of the White Horse Lane end. To our left, Dean Henderson bounces. Fernandez, arms by his side, hands on his hips. Fernandez against Henderson. Fernandez scores, rolls it into the corner. Henderson doesn't move. Fernandez finds the corner. Chelsea have surely found 3 points at Selhurst Park with 64 minutes played. Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 3.
Yeah, very cool and calm penalty there from Fernandez. Yes, he picks his spot. He hits it with a bit of power, precision. Henderson, I think he thinks going down straight down the middle of the goal. Instead, he keeps his ground, doesn't even dive. And it's an easy tap-in the end for Enzo Fernandez.
He goes across to that far side to celebrate with the Chelsea fans who are enjoying their afternoon in South London. The goal for Chelsea has sparked a couple of changes for Crystal Palace, and poor old JD Canvo. Oh, it's an afternoon he'll want to forget. He's off, and Yeremy Pino is coming on, so this will mean a slight alteration. Although Tyrick Mitchell is coming off, so maybe not, and Borna Sosa is on in his place. So Sosa on, Pino on, Canvo and Mitchell are both off. So Mark, what will this mean for Crystal Palace moving forward?
Well, I mean, I think Borna Sosa is an attacking option out wide as well. So on the left-hand side, he's obviously a direct replacement for Tyrick Mitchell. Maybe a little bit more energy, a little bit more pace there. So that's going to make a big difference. And Pino, of course, is on a bit of a goal-scoring run at the moment, isn't he, for Crystal Palace?
Yep, Yeremy Pino is in good form for Crystal Palace with the goals he's scored, especially at Selhurst Park. Caicedo plays it all the way back to Robert Sanchez, and he will carefully plot forward with a ball down the inside left channel. Neto challenges João Pedro, who scored Chelsea's second. Cucurella to João Pedro. They've worked this nicely inside left, a couple of yards in from the touchline. There are 3 Palace players back. Cucurella with his hair bouncing, white headband in, picks it up again near side the left. Oliver Glasner, this is right in front of the Palace head coach, waving his players forward, wanting to put a little more pressure on the Chelsea back line. But such a long way back now for Crystal Palace, and it's looking like 8 Premier League games without a win. And for Chelsea, it looks like their first away win since beating Burnley 2-0 5 games ago. And for Liam Rosenior, his first Premier League away win, and a much more convincing win than the 2-0 win they enjoyed against Brentford last week, and indeed the 1-0 win against Paphos in the Champions League. Foul by Caicedo on Wharton, that's a yellow card. Chelsea free kick inside their own half.
Yeah, we're taking Ken off as well. They've gone to a back 4. Sosa's come in. You've got Richards, Lacroix and Munoz on the right-hand side. And they've got now 4 in midfield, 2 up front. Brennan Johnson up alongside Mateta as well, so obviously looking to change the shape and be a little bit more adventurous going forward.
That was Enzo Fernandez's 7th Premier League goal this season. Only João Pedro has more. He's, as mentioned in the first half, got a very useful habit of cropping up in the right place at the right time. And with Cole Palmer not involved today, he's back on penalty duty as he was when Cole Palmer was out injured. Palmer, who scored a penalty against Brentford last weekend, responsibility back on Fernandez's shoulders, and it was a good penalty, as Mark mentioned. Dean Henderson staying exactly where he was, hoping that Fernandez would go down the middle. He didn't, and rolled it into his far left corner. So Palace 0, Chelsea 3, 5 Sports Extra. It was a long way back at 0-2. It's the mountain has got considerably higher at 0-3, Mark, with 22 minutes to play.
Yeah, it's a kick in the teeth, that one, isn't it? When you're down 2-0, yeah, there's still hope. You think, right, 1 goal, get back in this, and all of a sudden, you know, you just test the nerves of the opposition. Chelsea, how they're going to deal with it if you are able to get 1 back. And instead, Chelsea 3-0 up. You feel that it's just a little bit beyond Crystal Palace now, and Chelsea are in total control.
7 Premier League games without a win for Palace, losing 5 of them. Only Burnley on a longer winless run. They didn't win any of their first 8 at the beginning of last season, you might remember, and then did find form and had a brilliant season, obviously culminating in winning the FA Cup. It's been a rather spectacular fall, and it's amazing how quickly that the good feeling around the place has dissipated from winning the FA Cup to qualifying for the Europa League, as you'll remember, and then being relegated to the Conference League because of the off-field ownership dramas, to losing Eze and then losing Guéhi, losing Sarr to AFCON, losing Munoz to injury. So few players used by Palace, and it's beginning to show. Here's Neto for Chelsea, left-hand side. His early ball in, comfortable for the Crystal Palace back line. Lacroix in the way. That looks like handball on Badiashile, and handball is given, despite Badiashile clutching his chest. I think he may have got a boot in the chest from Brennan Johnson, but he also handled it, so Palace have this free kick.
Yeah, he definitely handballed it, and there was, I think, a boot from Brennan Johnson as he was going for the ball, so there's reason for him to be down. He does get up quite quickly in the end. It's probably just a slow play down. But to say, even though Chelsea are 3-0 up, I think personally they were a bit fortunate with the penalty decision. However, they've been good for it. They have been the better side in the second half. They've definitely continued on where they left off in the first half. Palace just haven't been able to lift up to the same energy levels. Mateta, to be fair, they haven't really even tried to get him in the game. They haven't looked to link him up. The balls have just been more hopeful balls towards him, but not up to him, not players helping him support. So that's been frustrating for Crystal Palace today.
They have a throw, Chelsea rather, inside their own half. So Palace looking to put pressure on Robert Sanchez, who clears with his right foot downfield. That will drop out of play, and Palace have a throw in their left back position. No changes imminent for Chelsea, who do have that big Champions League game on Wednesday, and there is plenty going on Wednesday with every single team in action, as the top 8 will be decided. The top 8 of the Champions League straight through to the last 16, and then teams numbers 8 or 9 to 24 will have a place in the playoff round to qualify for the last 16, and the British clubs are pretty well placed, including Chelsea, who travel to Napoli. Our commentary on 5 Live is Paris Saint-Germain against Newcastle, who are both inside the top 8 at the start of play, but Arsenal, Manchester City, Liverpool, Tottenham all in action as well. Neto on this near side, the left for Chelsea. Munoz goes across to meet him. Neto with a step over, and he's away from Munoz into the box. He drifts. João Pedro's touch. You can see what he was trying to do, just lift the ball into his path, but it was just slightly behind him. Wharton in midfield, dinks to no one in particular. And as Mark mentioned, case in point there, that was meant for Mateta, but Mateta was a good 10 yards away from it.
Yeah, link-up play with him has been poor in the second half, almost non-existent. And interestingly, watching Moise Caicedo's in the second half, he's just been taking up positions, trying to read play, not dive in. He's obviously very conscious of the fact he's on a yellow card. He's certainly calmed down. He's probably got clear instructions. Do not get sent off.
Yeah.
Keep your head, keep your composure.
Well, said there were no substitutions imminent. We have two now warming up for Chelsea, Malo Gusto and Jamie Gittins. I can see down below us to our left, Malo Gusto not wearing the gloves but rubbing his hands ferociously to get some warmth. They both get hugs from Liam Rosenior, who I'm sure will be absolutely delighted with what he's seen. This will be back-to-back Premier League wins for Chelsea, having beaten Brentford. But as mentioned, even though they won the game against Brentford, Chelsea actually recorded some of their worst stats of the season when it came to shots on goal and attacking moves and all that sort of thing. They won the game and they're winning this one comfortably. Pino with some nice footwork. Wharton slides into a challenge now. Wharton's already been booked and he's off here. It goes from bad to worse for Crystal Palace. Wharton was late with the challenge. He's only just been booked, and Crystal Palace are down to 10 men. Adam Wharton, he went to ground, he committed himself, and the moment he did that, you worried. He didn't get the ball. The yellow comes out, followed by the red, and Crystal Palace, 3-0 down at home, are now down to 10 men with still 18 minutes to play.
Yeah, frustration there on Wharton's side there. I mean, no need to dive in. Absolutely no need whatsoever. Maybe that little bit of experience lacking. Caicedo's the one that goes in with the ball. Yeah, look, it's a clear foul. It really is. The minute you go down like that, you always leave yourself open for the referee to pull out a card. And I think the referee's made the right decision.
Yeah, no question. And Wharton knew it. Oliver Glasner knew it. He turned away, shaking his head. And any glimmer of hope that Crystal Palace had, you feel, has been extinguished now with that red card. 3 down and a man down. Changes for Chelsea. Badiashile has come off and Wesley Fofana is on. Jamie Gittins and Malo Gusto also preparing to come on. Pedro Neto is the man being replaced. Shakes the hand of Jamie Gittins, the young Englishman who's coming on. And Malo Gusto is also on. And is Andre Santos?
Esteval,
you're all well spotted. Esteval he came off on the other side because he's nowhere near the dugout, so Esteval off on that far side. So Gusto, Fofana and Gittins are on for Chelsea to play the final 16 minutes or so.
Yeah, it looks like Gittins gone out wide on the right-hand side. Enzo Fernandez looks like he's moved to a wide left position.
Yeah.
As a left winger almost.
Well, he's played in the number 10 role, he's played in the defensive midfield, pivot, and now he's, as you say, seemingly now on this left-hand side. And we'll see, he's going to get the ball now from Andre Santos and plays it back to Badiashile, who is still on the field. Sanchez on the edge of his own penalty area. Palace also making some changes. Will Hughes and Chadi Riyad are about to come on as well for Palace.
It's Moise Caicedo he took off, didn't he?
You're right, Moises Caicedo, yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, given away by Chelsea. Brennan Johnson has a chance, shoots goalwards and wide. Well, Chelsea were just a little bit sloppy there, playing maybe with the complacency that comes when you're 3-0 up, loose at the back. It was Sanchez who played it square, and it wasn't a good ball by, I think, the captain actually, Reece James, and it was Johnson whose shot was dragged wide but via a deflection.
Yeah, poor ball from Reece James there on a few occasions in this game.
Here come the changes then. Daniel Munoz, who's only just back from a very lengthy injury, and Brennan Johnson off as well, and Chadi Riyad and Will Hughes are on to play. And Will Hughes gets his customary Hughes reception from the Crystal Palace fans. Palace corner. 15 minutes to play. In normal circumstances, you would say if they get one here, you never know. But with 10 men, so difficult to make a case. In comes the corner, goes an awfully long way. Referee says no penalty. I think there were appeals for handball. In comes the cross to the back post from Pino, and that's over everyone. And now to play for a goal kick. This will, of course, be checked.
Yeah, the referee's indicated straight away they're going to check it. Ball gets whipped into that near post area. I'll tell you what.
Well, it's one of those, isn't it? If the first one was given.
I mean, that's actually away from his body. I mean, they've given. I mean, it's a deflection. It's away from his body. Yes, he's in a natural position against Trevor Chalobah. I mean,
that is amazingly similar. Thigh to hand.
I mean, it's a deflection off a Palace player in close proximity. I mean, okay, it's heading goal bound. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that's not even looked at.
Well, in the context of the first handball that was given for Chelsea, you'd have to say, yeah, if the first one wasn't given, then you'd understand why that one hasn't been given. You know that the directive is different when the ball is a shot on goal and it's heading in and all the rest of it. It does seem like, of all the rules that VAR get involved with, handball is the most difficult to decipher, with the guidelines seemingly changing so regularly. Pedro, lovely spin towards the penalty area he goes, but Sarr back there quickly. Henderson's left foot clearance is skewed high into the air. James controls with his chest, and Pino will watch that out of play. Throws the ball against the advertising hoardings in frustration. Chelsea fans enjoyed that, and Chelsea have a throw on the halfway line. And with 12 minutes to play, they have a 3-goal lead on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. No changes in the other games, incidentally. Still Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 1 at the GTEC Community Stadium, and at St James's Park, Newcastle 0, Aston Villa 1. They, like us, kicked off at 2. Actually, Brentford Forest, for some reason, are about 8-9 minutes behind us, so they were quite late getting underway in the second half. Sports Extra 2 via the BBC Sounds app for that one. 5 live for Newcastle Villa as Chelsea continue to knock it around comfortably in their back line. And later on 5 live, in fact under an hour now, Arsenal against Manchester United. And later on 5 Sports Extra for American football fans, an always very exciting day with the AFC and NFC Championship game, so a place at Super Bowl at stake. Patriots are at Broncos, New England Patriots, Denver Broncos to get us underway. That's a game you can hear on 5 Sports Extra, incidentally, 7:45 for that. And then slightly later, the NFC Championship game between Seahawks and Rams. Chelsea 3-0 up and coming forward on that far side, the right. Gittins has it on the edge of the penalty area, back to Malo Gusto, and now Reece James midway through the Crystal Palace half, who have everyone behind the ball. Gusto looking for João Pedro, just got a little nick which took it away from João Pedro. Mateta, who has barely touched the ball in this second half. Palace have struggled to get him involved in the game, and he's cutting an isolated figure with his shirt tucked into his shorts, and at the moment he's watching Chelsea, and you have to say, Mark, that all jeopardy has gone out of the game now. Chelsea with the 1-man advantage, but also the 3-goal lead they enjoy.
Yeah, they do, and I mean, yeah, it's always going to be difficult for Palace. 3-0 down to 10 men. I mean, it's a long way back, if at all any opportunity. It doesn't look like it. I think Chelsea are more than comfortable. They're dictating play, which you expect them to, with that advantage.
Malo Gusto challenge in the heart of the Crystal Palace half. Enzo Fernandez, who scored the penalty to make it 3-0, exchanges passes with James, and now the attack, which had been progressing relatively slowly on the left, now towards this right, and back to the left it comes. James inside the centre circle, Fernandez with a couple of touches. You can see now the freedom that Chelsea are enjoying, because every player has so much time on the ball, so much so that James actually stops it and has a couple of step overs and rollovers. Now the ball in field to Gittins, but he runs into trouble, and now Mateta on halfway, but he's so isolated that it's difficult for Palace to get anyone close to him, but Hughes obliges and then wins the free kick, buffeted to the floor by James. And Crystal Palace have this free kick left-hand side of the centre circle as Chelsea make another change. Gerald Hato is coming on, and couldn't make out the number there. That the batteries need replacing in the fourth officials board, because that number was very weak. Is it Reece James?
Yeah, Reece James is coming on.
Oh yeah. He points to his head to say to his teammates, concentrate, let's not do anything silly. And the Chelsea captain turns to the Chelsea fans on that far side gives them a round of applause. They reciprocate, and Gerald Hato is coming on for Chelsea, and we are inside the last 10 minutes. Reece James is one of our own, chant the Chelsea fans. He gets a big high five from head coach Liam Rosenior, and the rest of Liam Rosenior's coaching staff do likewise. Chelsea have some defending to do here. Palace free kick, trailing 3-0 at home. It's looking like 8 Premier League games without a win. Pino lifts it in carefully to the back post. Lerma's header across goal, straight into the hands of Sanchez. Andre Santos again on the floor and again appealing to the assistant referee. He's done an awful lot of that in this game, but there was no need for the referee to give a free kick, even though I don't think it was one. Chelsea with the ball, the floodlights now beginning to take effect as the daylight fades. We can see the quadruple shadows now accompanying every single player. Chelsea playing keep ball, and it is for a new, and there's not unlikely to have any neutrals here, Mark, clearly, but the game for the neutral has completely gone away given the situation. Palace are reluctant to press too much forward. Chelsea very happy to keep the ball. Chelsea fans enjoying the Olays, and Crystal Palace fans, I dare say, a lot of them are wondering whether or not now's a good time to leave and beat the always slow traffic around these parts. Not too many have left. There are pockets of blue seats, which is not a surprise, but actually the vast majority are still here.
Yeah, I mean it's understandable. Like it's frustrating because I think the first 45 minutes Palace were more than good really, and they should have found them. They should have been at level at half time. Found themselves 1-0 down. I think the start of the second half, that early goal from Chelsea, the second one, really made it difficult for Palace. I think it was a real kick in the teeth, and then obviously the third, it just took the complete sting out of the game.
The ironic Olays from the Chelsea fans, not because they have the ball, but because Crystal Palace have possession, and they played 3 or 4 passes in their back line. Mateta is surely being fouled by Badiashile. No free kick, says Darren England, who felt it was the old 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Mateta didn't complain too much.
Again, I think he's spot on. They're both grabbing hold of each other. I mean, it is I think the referee, I think, has got them on right again. He's in a perfect position to see it. Both players are grabbing each other, and equally, and neither of them have complained about it.
He's had a good game, Darren England, bar the obvious debate that there will be about the penalty.
Well, that's the
VAR
interpretation, right? That's the interpretation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always open for interpretation, and then the thing, I suppose, for everyone is about consistency. And I'd be interested to hear the view of it as to why, and certainly on Match of the Day, if the guys in the show believe also it was a penalty or not.
Tonight, BBC One 10:30 for Match of the Day, with plenty of highlights to look forward to. Arsenal, Manchester United, 5 Live for that, 4:30 kickoff, and the 2 other games, Brentford, Forest, Newcastle, Villa, still 1-0 to the away sides. Brentford 0, Forest 1, so they're closing in on what is a very big 3 points after West Ham's victory yesterday. And Newcastle, Villa who beat Fenerbahce in the week, but did lose quite tamely to Everton in the Premier League last week. Looking like they're returning to winning ways in the Premier League. Changes. Liam Delap is coming on for Chelsea to replace João Pedro, like for like up front, and Jean-Philippe Mateta is coming off, and Christantus Uche is coming on to take Jean-Philippe Mateta's place. Jogs on to the field, another one with the base layer and the gloves on, to play the last 5 minutes of the game, and just presumably to put himself about and see if he can latch onto anything now. That's an ambitious effort from Yeremy Pino. Now, Crystal Palace had a free kick just to the right of the centre circle inside the Chelsea half. Everyone was forward for the cross, and Robert Sanchez was in that position waiting to collect the cross, and as such Pino thought he might be able to lob him. It would have been some goal, and in the end it was a good 7-8 yards over the top.
Tell you what, if that's on target, that is a tough one for Sanchez, because he was a long way off, and I think he gets caught out a little bit. However, all is good because it sails over the crossbar, like you said, by considerable margin.
Chelsea have it at the back. Without wanting to bring up any potential bad memories, have you ever been beaten by the what you thought would be a cross and then there's a shot into the near post?
Conceding goals, have got a really bad memory. Of course, everyone has. Every goalkeeper will be able to tell you stories about being chipped from a certain area. Yeah, definitely.
We'll leave it at that.
Leave it at
that. We won't delve any deeper. Mark Schwarzer with us on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. 3-0 Chelsea, and we are very much in the final knockings of this game, and as suggested, any jeopardy, any competitiveness has long gone, given the scoreline and given Chelsea's numerical advantage following Adam Wharton's second yellow, leading to the red card. Palace coming forward though. Borna Sosa dinks it in. There are several Chelsea players attacking that, so could have gone wrong, but one of them get a touch on it, and now it's gone out of play for a Palace throw near side the right.
Yeah, well, what was key to that was that the ball was whipped into the box, or smashed, or hit with real force into the box, but one player took the initiative, and it was Trevor Chalobah. He just went, right, this is mine, I'm going to deal with it, and he's the one that gets a good header on the ball. That's just really good defending.
Has led to this Palace throw, which hasn't been overly successful in this game. Chris Richards again will hurl it in, a couple of steps to the touchline, throws it in, flicked on towards the back post, still there to be won. Lacroix takes it down and shoots. Sanchez saves at the front post. Good save, Sanchez. Decent hit from Lacroix, but Sanchez in the way.
Yeah, it's a bit fortunate, of course, the way the ball gets flicked on in the near post area. And as you know, when you do throw in the ball in the box area there, and there's a lot of bodies, get a flick on, anything can happen. The ball pops for Lacroix, and Lacroix just turns on a sixpence and actually smashes it towards the goal. And I think Sanchez does pretty well to deal with the danger and just manages to get everything behind it, puts it away for a corner.
Corner to Crystal Palace, near side the right, so it will be an in-swinger with Will Hughes left foot towards the back post. Attack well by Lerma, it's off the line and now in. Flicked home, Chris Richards gets the final touch and Palace are on the board. The first touch somehow cleared off the line, and when the ball was recycled, Richards turns it home. Robert Sanchez furious that his clean sheet has gone. Palace are on the board. Crystal Palace 1, Chelsea 3.
Yeah, good delivery in the box, a lot of bodies there. I think Sanchez does really well initially. He clears it. I think he's just before, we'll sit on a replay now. He's in his goal, and he just gets it, Sanchez. The ball is not wholly over the line. Puts it back into play. Palace get very, very fortunate. There's a ricochet from a shot off a Palace player that flies over towards Richards, and Richards is the one then that heads it into the goal. I suppose they're going to check whether he's offside, but I think this goal stands.
Yeah, slight delay as we wait, but I think everyone's fine. I'm not sure what they'll be looking at. Yeah, in fact, Darren England, that didn't take long at all. So VAR will not be intervening there. It was Riyad's shot that does ricochet off a Chelsea player, then off the back of Lacroix, it looks like. And then Richards couldn't really miss. He was just underneath the crossbar to head in.
Actually, Fernandez plays him onside. He's the one that's part of the initial block from Sanchez. They both go for the ball. Sanchez clears it just before it goes over the line. He's the one that's still on the ground, and as the ball ricochets and then flies over to Richards, he keeps Richards onside.
I can understand Sanchez's fury there. Made a great save, but couldn't keep out the header from Richards. And Palace do have one, and we have a minute of normal time to play. Now, if they are to sneak another, as you know, you do never know. Now Lerma is involved with Fernandez here. In fact, it looked like Lerma and Santos, the initial coming together, and there will be a yellow card shown here. Referee is just calming Jefferson Lerma down. Whether he's the recipient of the yellow card or not, I'm not sure. He's furious with Enzo Fernandez. I think it is a yellow card brandished to Jefferson Lerma. In fact, he may have shown 2 yellow cards here, Darren England, also to potentially Andre Santos.
Yes, yeah, he did. Yeah, because of the complaining, there's been a lot going on there. Fernandez the whole game with Lerma, they've been both at each other's throats, been both giving each other verbals. On this occasion, Fernandez rushes over to give Lerma a little bit extra off the back of that coming together, and Lerma obviously reacts to it.
Forest have a second at Brentford, so they're closing in on an excellent win. Taiwo Iwonyi has scored at the G-Tech. Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 2. 5 minutes. 9 minutes. I couldn't see the board. Well, that does change things a little. 9 minutes for Crystal Palace to find a couple of goals, but they have one man fewer. Palace 1, Chelsea 3. Bodies everywhere in the middle of the park. Referee waves play on with a couple of those that may have been given. Riyad forward, Sosa forward, a couple of headers. Santos will be bundled to the floor and wins the free kick. Lerma a little bit too keen to get hold of the ball.
Well, Santos gave him a little bit of a nudge before that. As the ball then, we literally had about 4 or 5 up and unders in one go from both sides. And as Santos gives him a little bit of a shove in the back, fairly, and as the ball flips around, that's when Lerma then goes into him and just basically barges into him. We've just seen a replay on our monitor. Lerma gets the yellow card for going to the referee and saying that a Chelsea player should be booked. Therefore, the referee was having none of it.
We know that's an instant yellow card. Villa, like Forest, have doubled their advantage away from home. They now lead Newcastle 2-0. Ollie Watkins at St James's Park. So Brentford 0, Forest 2, Sports Extra 2 for the conclusion of that. 5 live for the conclusion of Newcastle against Aston Villa. We have 8 minutes, just under, of stoppage time to play at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 1, Chelsea 3. Palace down to 10 men. Adam Wharton sent off for 2 yellow cards. Hughes launches it forward. Chalobah comes across for Chelsea, clears out and successfully away. A header further forward to the halfway line. Lerma wins a header. Pino wins a header. It's all a little bit loose and scrappy in the middle third of the pitch in front of us. Still the ball refuses to come down. Lerma waves a left leg at it, and Badiashile with his right foot can clear again towards the halfway line. Lerma, but this is an incredibly untidy 30 seconds or so. And the end result of all of that is Malo Gusto with his right boot launching it forward.
Just think of Stoke against Bolton at their peak. Yeah. That high ball, lobbing it in, just lob it back and forth, back and forth. And that's what's happened in the last sort of 5 minutes.
That really was. Cucurella's header. And he wins the ball again near side the left. Enzo Fernandez waves a right boot at it. Delap will scamper after this and then hair away from Lacroix. Delap's low ball in was just in front of Fernandez. Uche with the long hair and the gloves. Badiashile just in front of him, and Fernandez can put his foot on the ball before Hughes comes in with the challenge, and Chelsea will just want to get back into this keep ball mode to ensure that they have no further alarms. Cucurella to Hato, and that's out of play for a Crystal Palace throw. No, a Chelsea throw came off a Palace leg last. Cucurella will be heading for the corner flag here, and that's where the throw goes to Delap, wearing the socks that barely cover his ankles, the Jack Grealish style, as he is made very famous. And Badiashile to Fofana, who can keep it moving to Malo Gusto on that far side, the right. And with 4 and a bit minutes to play now of stoppage time, it has felt, Mark, that Palace haven't been able to harness the momentum they got from that Chris Richards goal that gave them a little flicker of hope.
No, they haven't, and it's also because Chelsea haven't allowed themselves to drop deep. They've kept forward. And again, offside now against Crystal Palace. And that's because of the high line that Chelsea is still playing. They've got the man advantage. They don't panic. Yes, Palace got a goal back. They've just got to sit this game out, take control of the game. They've got the advantage. Now use it.
We see a shot of Liam Rosenior on our monitor, and even though he has his arms folded and he's still gesticulating to his players, he will be glowing inside if Chelsea can negotiate the final 5 minutes of this game successfully, leading as they do by 3-1. It will be back-to-back wins in the Premier League, and it'll be another victory for Liam Rosenior. Only that defeat to Arsenal in the League Cup, his only defeat. Napoli to come in the Champions League on Wednesday, and some interesting games in the Premier League to come too for both of these sides. Here's Uche running at Cucurella. His cross is blocked at source, right-hand edge of the penalty area. Ball picked up by Enzo Fernandez, who is not fouled by Lacroix, and Hughes can come forward for Palace with the bright blonde hair. Now centre of the field is Pino to Sarr, and now Uche's ball across is too close to Robert Sanchez, and that's a fairly comfortable claim for the Chelsea goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's unlucky because it was the right idea to get that early cross into the box. And unfortunately for Palace, it's just not enough numbers in there to cause any real problems.
Delap spins away from Lacroix, but that momentum then took it into Chadli Riyad, and it's with Dean Henderson all in orange, who had no chance with the Enzo Fernandez penalty, to boot downfield. Gusto, the ponytail Gusto. Lerma, the give and go with Riyad, and now Pino on halfway. Nice pirouette, spins away from 3, plays an interesting looking ball to Sosa, at least that was the plan. It was blocked before it got that far. Gusto with another very unconvincing up and under that will drop just inside Chelsea territory. Fofana now snaps into a challenge. It's not particularly pretty to watch any of this, but now Fernandez has space for Chelsea, all on his own for now, running into the penalty area, onto his left foot. Fernandez, no, he nearly went down. Richards dangled a leg. Fernandez very nearly accepted it and went over it. To his credit, he stayed on his feet, and he still has it. Sarr, though, dispossesses him. Hughes is then, looked like he was fouled by his shirt pulled, his shirt being pulled, but Palace come away with the ball, so no need for the referee to give the free kick. They now have this throw inside the Chelsea, inside their own half, and we have 2 and a bit minutes to play.
Yeah, obviously very frantic. Palace are just hoping for something. Drop down, try and get the ball up the pitch, try and cause some problems, maybe get a bit of a rub of the green. They just haven't really had it, and obviously being down to 10 men makes it so much more difficult.
One for Uche to chase in behind. Chalobah read it all the way, scoops it across to that far side where we can see now visibly more empty blue seats. The seats in the Arthur Waite stand opposite us have seen many summers, because there's a slightly faded blue we can see on that far side, much lighter colour than the seats of blue in the Holmesdale end. Perhaps more recently painted is Hughes, and now Richards on this near side, the right, will loop it into the far side, cleared just inside the box by Gusto. Lacroix picks up the loose ball, fires it into the feet of Pino, who turns on it, angle of the penalty area, has the Sosa on the overlap, and Sosa's cross, Lerma attacks it, headed away well, really well. Was that for it was Hato, I think, with the header, was it? Anyway, Hughes coming forward now for Palace, tiptoeing through a couple of challenges, breaks to Richards, who has Cucurella for company, and Richards allows that to run out of play, and Palace will have this long throw.
Yeah, certainly be disappointing or frustration from Liam Rosenior, the way that Chelsea have seen out this game. They've got the advantage, the man advantage. They've been overlapped, outnumbered down the wings. Balls have been whipped into the 6-yard box, 18-yard box. They should be defending better.
Richards with the throw. It's still loose inside the Chelsea penalty area until Hato gets a decent head on it to clear. Sosa back out to the right where Pino waits, collects, running at Gittins, crosses, headed up rather than out by Fofana, back into the danger area by Lerma. Richards is there again, fancying a second. It's still there for Palace, now out of the box with Lerma on the right hand side, played through a little gap. Lacroix fires it low, at the front post was Fofana, and then further cleared by Chalobah, and Delap will battle with Sosa. Had he got that touch right, he may have been through on goal, and in the end Hughes turns away really neatly from Liam Delap and plays a rather risky pass in field, but made into a good pass by Lerma, who finds Sosa. We've got 20 seconds to play. Palace 1, Chelsea 3. Sarr's header, Sanchez saves. Anywhere else that may have been 2-3, but in the end Sanchez makes a comfortable save.
That's a big chance for Crystal Palace. Wow, what a ball. Sarr gets in a great position, just can't control the header, neither with the pace nor the direction, otherwise that should have been 3-2.
Fernandez with some cheeky keep ball. He was keeping the ball in the air as he was dribbling towards the corner flag. He may have got the free kick, but there's no time for it. Referee blows his whistle. It's a win for Chelsea. Palace are now 8 Premier League games without victory, but for Liam Rosenior, back-to-back wins in the Premier League, and in the end a convincing victory over Crystal Palace. 3-0 Chelsea led. Enzo Fernandez with a penalty to make it 3. That after João Pedro had scored just after half-time for 2. Estevao had given Chelsea a first-half lead. Palace's task made even tougher when Adam Wharton was sent off for 2 yellow cards. A glimmer of hope, and it really was a glimmer with a small G, when Chris Richards headed in with around 10 minutes to play, but Palace couldn't really gain any momentum, and it's another defeat for Palace and for Oliver Glasner. But for Chelsea, a much more convincing performance after their 2-0 win over Brentford, and things are looking up for them and for Liam Rosenior. 3-1 it's finished, Mark Schwarzer, and really the damage done by Chelsea in those 15 minutes after half-time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Chelsea were good for it, weren't they? I thought they controlled the vast majority of the second half. Yeah, the last 10-15 minutes to be disappointing for Liam Rosenior, that they had the advantage in numbers, the lead. They didn't control the pace of the game nor the ball. They should have dealt with it a little bit better. Palace had a few chances in the end. Yeah, they took one. And I mean, I think overall in the course of the game, the way the game was played out, they had some chances. They should have been on the score sheet. They got their goal, but overall Chelsea, I think, were pretty comfortable.
There will be plenty of debate, I'm sure, about the penalty, which, okay, didn't turn into be the decisive goal, but certainly made a big impact on the game. At 2-0, you always feel in it. At 3-0, it's a long way back. And there will be debate again over what constitutes a handball. JD Canvo, who was at fault for the first goal, it feels unfortunate, doesn't it? The ricochet from thigh to hand. Referee said, as he announced to the crowd, it was an accidental handball, but those tend to be given.
They do. I feel for him. I feel those are so difficult because there's nothing he can do. Okay, the only thing you could say is, well, you're going to put your hands behind your back. But then we talk about a natural position. And I feel that his arms were still in a natural position. But again, it's open for interpretation. The referee's gone and watched it on the monitor on a number of occasions. He's made that call, and you know, I think it's just unfortunate for Crystal Palace, unlucky for them. But for Chelsea, it enabled them to win the game quite comfortably.
Chelsea, I'm sure, and Robert Sanchez in particular, will be a little miffed they didn't get the clean sheet. But Chelsea overall, how did they look to you? They scored a very good goal, albeit from a Palace mistake. Estevao took it well. Perfect start to the second half with João Pedro's goal. Are there signs that this Liam Rosenior coached Chelsea can challenge at the top end of the table? This win takes them back into the top four.
Well, look, I think the way they started the game was very positive. I think the energy was really good. The intent was there. They dominated the vast majority of the game. So I think it was a good performance, one of his better performances since he's been in charge of the club. And look, it's really tough for any manager to come in mid-season. You know, you've got different ideas, you want to try and implement them. You've got different voice in the change room, and it's going to take a little bit of time. And I thought today was definitely a more positive performance and in the right direction.
And finally on Palace, they're getting players back. Munoz returned today, Ismaila Sarr returned. We see what will happen. We wait to see what will happen with Jean-Philippe Mateta. But Forest away, Brighton away, Burnley at home in the first leg of their Europa Conference last 16 tie with Zrinjski Mostar. The playoff tie there. So there are some interesting games coming up, but it still feels that there will be lots of uncertainty between now and the end of the window in regards to their top scorer.
Yeah, that's right. And I think for Palace, and certainly for their fans and the players within their group and the manager, it feels like they need one or two players to come in. They need one or two sort of statement signings to say, right, okay, we've lost big players, right? We're not going to be able to replace them like for like. However, this is another really good option. And I think that needs to happen. If you have any chance to want to try and keep hold of someone like Mateta, you're going to have to bring some quality players in to try and, you know, reaffirm that, you know what, we're here, we want to reinvest, we want to try and still continue to take this club forward. At the moment, it just seems like a lot of doom and gloom.
Mark, appreciate your time, always a pleasure, and look forward to working with you again soon. Mark Schwarzer, former Premier League goalkeeper, with us on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Full times across the Premier League: Brentford 0, Forest 2. Big win for Forest, who are now 5 points clear of the relegation zone. Newcastle 0, Aston Villa 2. So another very impressive win for Aston Villa away from home. So they remain third in the Premier League table, 46 points, level with Manchester City. Chelsea into the top four now, 37 points. Arsenal, Manchester United to come at 4:30. That game live on BBC Radio 5 Live. On here on 5 Sports Extra, bumper night of American football with a place at the Super Bowl at stake. The AFC and NFC Championship games. The Patriots at the Broncos, 7:45 on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. So plenty of live sport to look forward to. Do hope you can join us a little bit later on for that. But from here at Selhurst Park. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.